Chapter 287, Mo Yan's ability. When Great Master Wu heard Lu Mu Yan's words, he couldn't resist revealing a look of ridicule. You look too highly on yourself. What qualifications did a sword master, at only sword monarch cultivation base, have to speak so wildly in front of him? Lu Mu Yan hooked her lips and smiled, then let's just wait and see. Then, her hands were covered with a faint purple gold color. It wasn't just fire elemental energy now, but the power of pure purple gold spirit flame to increase her Bodhi's power. She gave Mo Yan a look, then she quickly used flash steps and moved in front of Great Master Wu, bombarding him punch after punch. Great Master Wu was, after all, a sword venerable powerhouse, so he naturally very easily dodged her attacks, but he didn't expect that the spirit devourer behind him would suddenly spew an ethereal cyan flame towards him. Dodging too late, his face was instantly punched by Lu Mu Yan. His pale and bloodless face immediately became red and swollen, and he was furious. Just as he was about to retaliate, the netherworld flame struck again from behind. His expression changed and he barely dodged. Then, a white snake jumped out from Lu Mu Yan's wrist, opened her mouth, and sprayed mist towards the place where Great Master Wu was. The human-eating blood thorn vine king swung his main vine, that contained sharp thorns, upwards and continuously whipped against Great Master Wu. Under the powerful attack of the netherworld flame, he was accidentally scratched by the barb on the main vine. Following, the large Icelwan spread his wings and flew high above his head, constantly spitting out icicles with great power and speed. He could only use all his elemental energy to avoid the attacks from all sides. Each time he dodged one side, he would always be forced to meet the other side by the netherworld flame. Lu Mu Yan's fist covered with purple gold spirit flame obviously wasn't a vegetarian either. Each time, she would punch at Great Master Wu's weakest joints, then another punch against his face again, and a streak of fresh blood seeped out from the corner of his lips. At this moment, even the carefree Great Master Wu was in an extremely sorry state, and his movements grew slower and slower. He was startled. He was invulnerable to hundreds of poisons, and yet he was actually poisoned by both that white snake's venomous mist and the venom on the vine. His whole body gradually became stiff, and even if he used his elemental energy, he couldn't break free from the shackles of those toxins. His slow movements and delayed responses also allowed Lu Mu Yan and her few spirit pets to seize the opportunity to beat him up wildly. If there were other people present right now, their eyes would definitely pop out in shock. This was basically a one-sided beating and abuse, as violent as it could get. When the poison in Great Master Wu's body dissipated, he fell to the ground entirely, hugging his head in a sorry state, with exceptionally serious internal and external injuries. Lu Mu Yan, don't forget that I'm your grandaunt's husband. How will you explain to the Ling family how you've treated your senior after you return? Currently, Great Master Wu was surrounded by a dark cyan flame. He didn't dare to move too much, otherwise he would only be waiting for the consequence of his divine figure to be annihilated. Humph, for a grandaunt that wants to devour her and refine my divine soul, it's already a good thing that I'm not killing her. Lu Mu Yan snorted coldly, my grandaunt already disappeared 200 years ago, and you, the so-called husband, has never even appeared in the Ling clan, yet you still have the face to want to seek connections as relatives with me. Just watch how I beat you to death. After she finished speaking, she waved her fist, and it was another round of maniacal beating of Great Master Wu. Don't you want to know the whereabouts of your grandaunt? Great Master Wu wanted to fight back but was restrained by the netherworld flames and was extremely helpless. Why do I want to know her whereabouts? A woman who became a dual cultivation partner with a ghost cultivator, and who stole the Ling clan's most valuable treasure and left the clan is also worthy of my attention? Lu Mu Yan mocked. She had never even met that so-called grandaunt, so how could she have any deep feelings for her? The disappearance of her eldest uncle, who was also Ling Fei Yang's father, also seemed to have something to do with that woman. In addition, she heard from mother that the most valuable treasure of the Ling clan also disappeared after that grandaunt severed connections with the clan, leading to the Ling clan's gradual decline. Come and read on our website Wuxia World site. Thanks, so Ling Qiu didn't give her a good impression. You know I'm a ghost cultivator. Great Master Wu, who originally had his head lowered, thinking about something, suddenly raised his head and stared at Lu Mu Yen. Lu Mu Yen glanced at him, but the movements of her fists didn't stop, although the aura on you is well hidden, but the cyan smoke that emerged from between your brows when you used elemental energy earlier revealed your identity. A ghost cultivator hiding among the human sword masters and even joined the smithing pavilion, becoming a famous grade 5 smith on this continent. Your purpose mustn't be simple. Lu Mu Yen snorted coldly. Ghost cultivators needed countless fresh souls to be sacrificed to their skills, and many of their methods were vicious and cruel. They were the most wanted people by the 6 major sects and several top forces on Tianling continent. Because of Great Master Wu's identity as a smith, who knew what method he used to hide his identity as a ghost cultivator, plus him joining the smithing pavilion definitely involved unspeakable secrets. You sure are very meticulous for such a young age. Great Master Wu's eyes were grim and cold. As if he had made up his mind, he suddenly reached out and tapped somewhere on his body, spurting out a mouthful of blood essence. A bubble of blood mist wrapped around him, and an unpleasant scent of blood spread in an instant. A red light suddenly emerged from the red mist and fled towards the distant horizon. Mo Yan's eyes were filled with mockery. With a thought, the cluster of flames on his forehead detached automatically, and with a shoo, it caught up with the red light and trapped it. Not long after, there were several screams from the sky, and Great Master Wu was devoured by the netherworld flames before he could say any more. Mo Yan, you want to refine his soul. Lu Mu Yen felt the soul energy of Great Master Wu growing weaker and weaker. Why, do you want me to show mercy? Mo Yen raised his eyes and looked at her deeply. She shouldn't be such a soft-hearted person, right? Lu Mu Yen shook her head. You can go ahead and refine it, but can you obtain any useful information from his divine soul? I can. Mo Yen nodded. What the spirit devourer was best at was devouring and refining divine souls, and also stripping the other party of their memories. Then he'll rely on you. I want to know the purpose of him infiltrating the smithing pavilion and the whereabouts of that Ling Qiu. Lu Mu Yen poked Mo Yan's body and said. Mo Yen quickly avoided her devilish hands, his gaze slightly unnatural. Mo Yen, I just realized that you've already advanced to Tier 7. Lu Mu Yen blinked and said. Mo Yen glanced at her, so what? He deliberately ignored the playfulness and curiosity in Lu Mu Yan's eyes. He knew precisely what she was thinking. Doesn't advancing to a Tier 7 demonic beast mean that you can transform into a human? Come on, give me a transformation. She was pretty curious about what Mo Yan's human transformation would look like. Mo Yen coughed lightly. Well, talk about it another time. Mo Yen, you're shy. Lu Mu Yen chuckled, then said teasingly. Mo Yen rolled his eyes at her. With a kick of his hind legs, he jumped into the air and opened his mouth to swallow the netherworld flame together with Great Master Wu's divine soul into his stomach. I'm going to refine and strip him of his memories. You can check if there's anything good in his interspatial ring. Mo Yen waved his paw, and a dark interspatial ring fell into Lu Mu Yan's hand. Lu Mu Yen took the ring, then made a sound of curiosity, and with great interest, probed her mental energy into the interspatial ring. Chapter 288, Information from the Memories. The imprint on the interspatial ring was already erased by Mo Yen. After Lu Mu Yen probed her mental energy into the interspatial ring, she found that this ring refined by Great Master Wu was indeed extraordinary. Not only was the space inside more than 10 times larger than her current ring, but it was also divided into different sections. Among them, there was a space dedicated to placing spiritual herbs, and the surrounding area was actually made of 10,000-year ice, which could preserve the freshness of the spiritual herbs to the greatest extent. A separate large space was used for placing smithing materials, and there were countless precious smithing materials and many half-finished products and finished products. Lu Mu Yen swept the no less than 30 pieces of spirit treasures and saint tools, and her lips rose in an arc. After returning, she could improve the arming of magic tools of the Lu clan again. She roughly checked the contents of the ring and found that Great Master Wu was simply too rich. There were millions of low-quality spiritual stones, and there were even 20,000 middle-quality spiritual stones. When she was about to exit the space, she suddenly found an inconspicuous dark red token mixed in a pile of various miscellaneous things. With a thought, the red token fell into the palm of her hand. At this moment, Mo Yen just finished devouring and refining Great Master Wu's divine soul and opened his eyes. When he saw the thing in Lu Mu Yan's hand, his eyes deepened. This pure red token is the same as the pure gold token you obtained before. I also discovered that. Great Master Wu deliberately put it in a pile of random things to hide it and camouflaged it. I almost didn't recognize it. Lu Mu Yan chuckled, pinched a few Taoist seals, then rubbed the dark and inconspicuous red token. A layer of things on the token shattered and disappeared. When the token was exposed again, the color was bright red, and a strong fire attribute element radiated out. It seems that there should be more than these two tokens. Lu Mu Yan said while playing with the token. Mo Yan nodded. There's an aura that doesn't belong to this interface. It should be an important, indispensable object to open a certain place. It appears, I guess, that there may be 5 different attributes of tokens like this. Didn't you find any information about the tokens in Great Master Wu's memory? Lu Mu Yan raised her eyes and asked. There is a mysterious seal in his body that hides the most secret of information. As long as his life is lost, the information will also disappear, so there's no information about it, including about why he snuck into the smithing pavilion and such. Mo Yan said lightly. Such a seal shouldn't have been applied by him, right? Lu Mu Yan asked with furrowed brows. Mo Yan's dark eyes were slightly grim. That seal is surrounded by a devilish aura. He may be a spy from another interface. When your cultivation base reaches sword venerable strength, you will naturally know many more things. Lu Mu Yan glanced at Mo Yan inexplicably. You think that there are some things that I shouldn't know? It's not good for you to know too much right now. You should concentrate on your cultivation and wait until you reach the sword venerable cultivation base, then he'll personally tell you some secrets. Mo Yan still didn't loosen his lips. Lu Mu Yan pondered for a bit, then no longer bothered about this issue. She would naturally know when she should know. Do you know about Ling Qiu? Come and read on our website Wuxia World site. Thanks. Mo Yan nodded and explained what happened from Great Master Wu's memory. 200 years ago, he and Ling Qiu came to this competition space to participate in the Tianling Continent Tournament for hegemony. His purpose at the time was to find a spirit flame, and participating in the competition was actually secondary. After finding and subduing the spirit flame, his internal organs were also burnt. When he was at his weakest, he encountered a sword master from a superpower kingdom who was also looking for the spirit flame and was almost killed. At his most hopeless moment, he was saved by Ling Qiu. The two of them participated in the subsequent competition together, and in the end, they gradually developed feelings and fell in love with each other. After Ling Qiu found out about his ghost cultivator identity, not only did she not leave him, but instead, she stole the Ling clan's most valuable treasure for him to cover up the aura on his body from being discovered by high-level powerhouses. It was also because of this valuable treasure that he could enter the smithing pavilion and become an elder. Ling Qiu also severed connections with the Ling clan because of this. 100 years ago, the two of them met a formidable enemy. Ling Qiu's divine soul was injured and scattered to save him. He used a secret skill to find the scattered original souls, but unfortunately, they were too weak, and needed to devour and refine a sword master who had the same bloodline as Ling Qiu, and also a similar divine soul, to be able to awaken. He had been searching for 100 years, and this time, he brought Ling Qiu to the competition space to find a fortuitous encounter, but who knew that he discovered your existence in the first city? After watching the battle between you and the owner of that pure gold token, he set his sights on you. He not only wanted to take your divine soul, but also wanted to take that pure gold token. It was just a pity that man proposes, heaven disposes. He didn't expect that he would lose his life because of it. But it could be considered that he was deeply in love with your grandaunt, and he was still thinking about her even at his deathbed. Lu Mu Yan furrowed her brows tightly and pondered for a bit after listening to what Mo Yan said in one breath. Has Ling Qiu been involved in the matter of Great Master Wu's refining souls on the path of the ghost? Great Master Wu had been hiding his ghost cultivator's elemental energy. When he used the escape skill earlier, she felt that strong bloody scent. There was also a lot of soul energy mixed with it, which must have been the murdered souls of many sword masters. Mo Yen glanced at her, paused, then said, yes. And there are quite a few cultivators who died in Ling Qiu's hands. If not 1,000, at least a few hundred. Lu Muyan's expression sank. By the way, did you find out about my eldest uncle from his memory? Your eldest uncle accidentally found out that he was a ghost cultivator. He originally planned to kill, but was stopped by Ling Qiu. They threw your eldest uncle into the Black Mist Canyon, one of the 10 treacherous zones on this continent, to fend for himself. Lu Muyan sneered, what's the difference between that and killing him? That woman really isn't a good thing. Not only did she steal the clan's most valuable treasure and betray the clan, causing the Ling clan to fall into ruin, but she also attacked her relatives. She truly is hateful. Where is she? After a while, Lu Muyan asked Mo Yen with a grim expression. In a basement in the central city. Mo Yen rarely saw her so grim and sighed, why be angry with such a person? You want to kill her completely? Eldest uncle used to be very kind to me. I didn't expect him to have been killed by that woman. Can I not be angry? Lu Muyan raised an eyebrow, it's boring to just kill her. I'll hand her to Ling Fei Yang to bring her back to the Ling clan and let them handle her. That's fine. But the Ling clan's valuable treasure has already been melted and refined by him. Now it's been turned to ashes by my netherworld flame with his body. Mo Yen said. His netherworld flame killed all kinds of evil spirits and ghosts. The ghost cultivator insidious skill in Great Master Wu had already infected the treasure with a devilish energy. Even if it were still intact, it couldn't be used anymore, so he burnt it together. It doesn't matter if it's turned into ashes. Lu Muyan didn't care about that so-called valuable treasure. Here, I'll give you something good. After Mo Yen finished speaking, he spit out a cluster of orange flames from his mouth. After you refine this spirit flame, the purple gold spirit flame should be able to mutate and upgrade. Chapter 289, Spirit Flame Upgrade. Lu Muyan's eyes lit up. She had been thinking about this cluster of spirit flames earlier, but she didn't accept it immediately. Does your netherworld flame need spirit flames to evolve? If you need it, you can refine it first. Mo Yan's indifferent eyes were stained with a small smile. This spirit flame isn't very useful to the netherworld flame, hurry up and go refine it. Lu Muyan being able to restrain the longing in her heart and give up the spirit flame to Mo Yen made his long frozen heart melt a little more. You really don't need it? You're not lying to me, are you? Lu Muyan looked at Mo Yen seriously. If Mo Yan's netherworld flame needed it, she would definitely never snatch it from him. Mo Yen smiled without a good attitude and said, I really don't need it. This level of spirit flame is completely useless to my natal flame. Lu Muyan rolled her eyes at him. So it seemed that he disliked that this spirit flame's level was low. Sure, it doesn't enter your eyes, but I'm greedy for it, so I won't be polite. This spirit flame does have the effect of mutating and upgrading her purple gold spirit flame. After she finished speaking, with a wave of her sleeves, she collected the spirit flame and ran into the wooden hut to start refining. Mo Yen watched her leave with a rare warmth in his eyes. 10 days later, a stream of spiritual force of heaven and earth flowed continuously into the wooden hut. Although it didn't form spiritual clouds, but there was a rather considerable amount. I wonder if owner will successfully advance to Sword Sovereign this time or not. Bing Ji transformed into his human form and rubbed his chin with a look of anticipation in his eyes. Mo Yen laid lazily on a piece of white animal skin to bask in the sun. She won't. Advancing too fast will cause the foundation to be unstable. She won't do such a thing. That's true. Meow Meow's advancement is also too fast. Will her foundation also be unstable? Bing Ji asked with slight worry. Mo Yen raised his eyes and glanced at him with a smile that wasn't quite a smile. It won't. Demonic beasts are different to humans. What's more, Meow Meow has the golden dragon bloodline, so there's no such thing as unstable foundation beneath Tier 9. This time, not only was Lu Mu Yen cultivating in seclusion, but Meow Meow and Xue Xue also felt the bottleneck of advancement break at practically the same time, so the two demonic beasts also found a place to advance. Inside the wooden hut, Lu Mu Yen refining the cluster of orange spirit flames wasn't as easy as she imagined. Although the orange blaze spirit flame wasn't as high level as the purple gold spirit flame, but it also understood danger, and wouldn't allow itself to be swallowed by the purple gold spirit flame willingly. While Lu Mu Yen suppressed the orange blaze's resistance and let the purple gold spirit flame devour it smoothly, she also had to endure the pain of burning meridians of her whole body from the spirit flame. After another 10 days, she changed her sweaty clothes and with a refreshing flip of her palm, a cluster of two-colored spirit flames emerged. Then, she didn't stop, but used the energy of refining the spirit flame to advance her cultivation base. Spiritual force gathered around and all surged into the wooden hut. Lu Mu Yen transformed the spiritual force into spiritual energy and used the green mist in her dantian to purify it again and again. When the spiritual energy was pure to its limit, she also successfully advanced from middle phase Sword Monarch to advanced phase Sword Monarch. This sort of speed was actually already amazing, and as long as she wanted to, with a little spiritual force gathering array, she could directly advance to peak phase Sword Monarch. But she didn't do so. Mo Yen was rather correct. It wasn't always better to advance one's cultivation base as fast as possible. She liked to lay a solid foundation, and the purer her spiritual energy was, the better it would be for her to condense her golden core in the near future. After the advancement was completed, she didn't leave the wooden hut, but instead, took out that set of Earth-rank sword skill to research, and some of its ingenious uses benefited her a lot. Although she was an almighty from the spiritual realm, but she didn't reach for what was beyond her grasp. There were also many things in this world that she should learn and accept with an open mind. A month later, Meow Meow advanced into Tier 7 and Xue Xue also broke through to middle phase Tier 7. Meow Meow could now transform into a human form, which made Xue Xue jealous for a long time. Demonic plants must reach Tier 8 to be able to transform into a human form. All of Lu Mu Yan's spirit pets, aside from Xue Xue, could now transform, only that Mo Yan had never transformed before. "Owner, let's go into the mountains to play." Because Meow Meow advanced too quickly, she now looked like a little girl of about 3 or 4 years old after her transformation. Lu Mu Yen squeezed her fleshy pink face and said with a smile, "This is a Class 1 danger zone. Even if Tier 8 demonic beasts entered, they may not survive. You better stop dreaming." Meow Meow and Bing Ji were a bit similar in one aspect. They liked to play very much and simply couldn't sit still. Come and read on our website Wuxia World site. Thanks, then that's fine. Meow Meow sighed. And in another month, we'll be leaving. You and Xue Xue should hurry up and consolidate your cultivation base. Lu Mu Yen stroked her nose and said. All right. With 3 days left before the Great War, Lu Mu Yen walked out of the wooden hut and flew out of this area. Because demonic beasts were also preparing for the battle, so although they were in a Class 1 danger zone, but they hadn't encountered many powerful demonic beasts. When Lu Mu Yen returned to the border city, Lu Mu Bai and the others were all a little anxious, and only when they saw her return safely were they relieved. After chatting with the others and catching up, Lu Mu Yen called Lu Mu Bai and Ling Fei Yang to talk privately in one of the inn's rooms. "Yenner, did something happen?" Lu Mu Bai asked worriedly, seeing her solemn expression. Ling Fei Yang looked up at her intently. He just felt that what she was going to say today had something to do with him. After I left individually before, I met that great Master Wu who refined the Sumeru light boat. It turned out that he was, Lu Mu Yen briefly talked about the encounter with Great Master Wu and Ling Qiu, but she didn't reveal Mo Yen. Instead she told them that the news was what she interrogated from Great Master Wu himself. It wasn't that she couldn't trust Lu Mu Bai and Ling Fei Yang, but the more they knew, the less safe they were. Bang! Ling Fei Yang's expression was exceptionally grim, and the teacup in his hand was crushed by him. Lu Mu Yen sighed and comforted, elder cousin brother, maybe eldest uncle didn't die in the Black Mist Canyon. After all, the soul tablet left in the Ling clan hasn't completely broken. All direct line and elite pupils of each clan basically had a soul tablet representing their life. If their soul tablet was broken completely, then it meant that the person was already dead. But father's soul tablet is filled with cracks. Even if he's not dead now, he must be in extreme danger. Ling Fei Yang revealed slight pain. I didn't expect that the person who harmed father would be his direct aunt. That woman must have been possessed to be so ungrateful simply for a man. Lu Mu Bei's expression was also very ugly. Ling Qiu's talent was even better than their maternal grandfather, and so she was raised by the clan with importance. But who knew that ultimately, they fed a white-eyed wolf one? She's in this competition space. Ling Fei Yang restrained his emotions, but the coldness in his eyes didn't dissipate. Lu Mu Yen nodded, After the finals, I'll take you both to her. If she can be saved without devouring and refining a divine soul, then I'll try my best to wake her up. Speaking of refining divine souls, Lu Mu Bai and Ling Fei Yang's expression condensed some killing intent. Lu Mu Yen was almost killed by her too. Why does Mu Yen want to save her? Is she worthy? Ling Fei Yang furrowed her brows, a look of disgust in his eyes. Lu Mu Yen curled her lips, narrowed her eyes, and said, don't you think it's too cheap for her to die just like this? Maybe she might know some news about uncle. As long as eldest uncle's soul tablet hasn't completely broken, there's still hope, no? Plus, that woman might also know some background information of that great Master Wu. Ling Fei Yang also had a glimmer of hope in his heart when he heard her say this, yes. Maybe she has news of father. It's really too easy on her to just let her die like this. After discussing a little more, they cultivated in the city and waited for the great decisive war. Dong dong dong. 3 days later, a melodious bell rang. Lu Mu Yen stood up and quickly leapt towards the direction of the city wall, and countless figures in the entire city also ran in that direction. The time had come for the great decisive war with the demonic beasts in the finals. What an ingrate. Chapter 290, The Great Decisive War begins when Lu Mu Yen reached the city wall. Everyone else had already arrived and the wide city wall was filled with human sword masters. Roar roar. Immediately, countless deafening beast roars resounded and a mass of beast figures on the plain opposite approached little by little. After a while, the bottom of the city was filled with demonic beasts of tier 5 and 6, and dozens of human figures were hovering in the air, with extraordinary momentum. Lu Mu Yen felt two gazes locked onto her tightly, and when she looked up, she saw the man in white with blue patterns on his face that she met in the mountain last time, and a skeletal man with strong killing intent. She realized that the skeletal man's face was a little familiar, and after recalling a little, she remembered Shi Ji. This demon cultivator must be related to Shi Ji, and this time, he must want to seek revenge for her. Her gaze turned cold, and she smiled provocatively at the two demon cultivators, making the two demons eager to rush over and tear her apart. Human sword masters. According to the century-old agreement, this is the time for our two clans to fight a decisive battle. According to the traditional rules, we will fight one-on-one, then we will battle in a melee at the end. A cyan-bearded elderly man walked out among the demon cultivators. The pressure from him was restrained, but one could still judge from his aura that he was the strongest existence among the demon cultivators here, a tier 8 demonic beast. The other party actually has a late-phase tier 8 demonic beast. We're in trouble here. Sinan furrowed his brows. The strongest among them was only advanced phase sword sovereign. Although they had the ability to skip stage battle, but there was still a large gap compared to a late-stage tier 8 demonic beast that was equivalent to the strength of a sword venerable. Luo Yi exuded a noble aura, and his sturdy figure was wrapped in silver brocade clothes which made him appear more elegant. We can only try together. He could fight demonic beasts at initial phase tier 8, but if he fought against a late phase tier 8, then he would undoubtedly lose. When Yan Jun saw Lu Mu Yan's expression without the slightest worry, but instead, filled with fighting spirit, he chuckled. Young Miss Lu seems to be looking forward to this battle very much. Aren't you worried about the late phase Tier 8 demon cultivator? Lu Mu Yan glanced at him and smiled. If the sky falls, don't we still have you tall people holding it up one? The late phase Tier 8 demonic beast leader opposite naturally would need you elite sword masters from superpower kingdoms to handle. The several people couldn't resist twitching their lips when they heard her words. So it appeared that she had never even thought about how to deal with that late phase Tier 8 demonic beast. Lu Mu Yan's true thoughts naturally wouldn't be told to them. She actually really wanted to try the strength of a late phase Tier 8 demonic beast. With the mutated and upgraded spiritual flame, she had a little more confidence in herself. Alright, let's arrange 10 people to battle 10 demons first. A mature-looking human male sword master said. Who is he? Lu Mu Yan hadn't noticed this man before. He's Xiao Junyao, the crown prince of southern Liang Kingdom, and also the strongest person among the human sword masters. Ji Xian said. Lu Mu Yan turned her gaze towards Xiao Junyao, an advanced phase sword sovereign with a clean, delicate appearance, and a scholarly and gentle taste in his demeanor. This man's clean and scholarly appearance was a kind of charm from deep within his bones and was definitely different from the scholarly feel of Bing Ji. Then the man jumped up to the top of the city wall with a gentle smile on his face. This one is Xiao Junyao, entrusted by the organizers to temporarily preside over the great decisive war between the sword masters and demonic beasts in this competition. Come and read on our website Wuxia World site. Thanks. Everyone knows that the great decisive war between us and the demonic beasts is agreed to be 3 days. After 3 days, the demonic beasts must not stop us from forcibly breaking through this plain and rushing to the mountain opposite to compete for the ranking in the finals. The old rule was to fight one-on-one first, and the duration of the melee would be determined by the number of wins and losses. If we win a battle, the time will be shortened by 1 hour. If we win 10 battles in a row, it can be shortened by 10 hours. There will be no less than 30 one-on-one battles in turn. I hope everyone will work together to overcome the difficulties. 10 people will participate in the first round, and the opponent's 10 demon cultivators have the right to choose first. That is to say, they can choose 10 among the humans and we cannot interfere. Xiao Junyao was the strongest, which meant that he was naturally the last to go up, and he swept his eyes warmly at the people below. By the way, a reminder. One-on-one battles do not allow other humans or demon cultivators to intervene. Life and death are up to one's fate. Of course, if the opponent points to one of us, but the gap in cultivation base and strength is too great, you can also refuse, and the opponent will reselect the person to fight. Xiao Junyao added. Then isn't that not fair? Why can they choose our people to fight first? One of the sword masters said, unreconciled. Xiao Junyao wasn't angered by his questioning and explained with a smile, I was about to explain this. Because the treaty between the two parties has a 3-day time limit for demonic beasts, so they can choose the human sword master to fight first. Starting from the second round, the results of the first round will determine which side will pick first. If we can win 6 games or a draw plus winning 1 more battle, and our wins are greater than the opponents, then the 10 opponents for the next round will be chosen by us human sword masters. So the first round of the competition is very important. I hope everyone will take it seriously. No matter who is picked by the other party, we must fight with all our strength and not give us human cultivators a bad name. Xiao Junyao had a smile on his face, but his voice was a bit oppressive. Finally, I would like to add that the sword master who wins the battle can increase the color of their jade tablet, so whether you can successfully advance into the top 100 or not, this is also a good opportunity to win. After his words fell, the sword masters below immediately began to discuss. This is a good opportunity, but unfortunately, I need my life to take it. A sword master who wasn't very confident in himself sighed. Yeah. The dozens of demon cultivators opposite are all tier 7. Demonic beasts are stronger than humans in terms of physical strength to begin with. It's hard to say whether we'll win or lose. If you lose, you'll lose your life too. There were many who agreed. There were also sword masters who were confident in themselves and said in disagreement, "How can you raise the morale of others and destroy our prestige? What's so fearful of a few uncivilized demonic beasts?" That's right, whoever is selected for battle better not pretend to be weak. This is not only related to the results of the decisive war, but also the face of our human sword masters. Such voices filled the entire city wall one after another. Xiao Junyao smiled lightly and said nothing. The time has come. Now, our 10 demon cultivators can go and choose their opponents. You human sword masters have no objections, yes? The cyan-bearded elderly man looked at the sky to determine the time, then looked at Xiao Junyao and said with vigor. Xiao Junyao smiled and nodded, "All right. Let's start now." The cyan-bearded old man glanced at random, and 10 demon cultivators dashed out in a flash. They had all prepared their targets already, and they designated their challenge opponents as soon as they appeared. "I want to challenge her." As soon as one of the demon cultivators appeared, he pointed at Lu Mu Yen in the crowd with a gaze blazing like torches. Lu Mu Yen looked at him indifferently. This demon cultivator was precisely that skeletal man who looked somewhat similar to Shi Ji. One a saying meaning that if anything goes wrong that's terribly beyond her capabilities, there are still others who will take responsibility to handle it, since she is weaker than them. Chapter 291, Is she sending herself to her death? When the peak phase tier 7 demonic beast pointed at Lu Mu Yen, the sword masters on the human side all revealed surprise. Then, they remembered that the first round of the battle was directly related to the priority of choosing opponents in the second round, so they all shouted in dissatisfaction. A peak phase tier 7 demonic beast challenging an advanced phase sword monarch, isn't this obviously bullying? Yeah. Truly shameless. Various voices attacking the opponent sounded from many people. The skeletal man glanced coldly at the sword masters on the human side and snorted, "So what if I'm bullying you? Why, don't you dare accept the challenge? Then scram back to cultivate a few more years before coming out as such an embarrassment. There are rules for the battle, and you can forfeit from my choice." The skeletal man swept his gaze sharply towards Lu Mu Yen with deep provocation in his eyes. Lu Mu Yen hadn't even spoken yet when many people began to turn their words towards her. "Lu Mu Yen, with your cultivation base, just forfeit from this, don't be reckless to complete in such a useless battle." Because Lu Mu Yen and Chu Han were the dark horses of the first two competitions of this session, the sword masters present could all basically recognize who she was. Although they knew that she had some means, but if she faced the peak phase tier 7 demonic beast, they believed that she would definitely be sending herself to her death. Come on, she's going to be reckless. Only a fool acts in a way like tossing an egg at a stone. It's only clear that she'll die if she agrees. The crown prince of Nanshuan Kingdom sneered, but maybe great young Miss Lu has the means and trump cards to defeat the opponent. Don't underestimate our dark horse this time. Ha, there were several sword masters who just didn't like Lu Mu Yen being the center of attention, so they also started a commotion. Hurry up and give up, otherwise when you're killed in a bit, you'll lose all face for us sword masters. That's right, one should know your own abilities. Although it's shameful to forfeit, but it's better than losing your little life. Humph, her appearance is so enchanting, maybe she can enchant the opponent after going out. Giggle, that's true, the fox spirit one is also a kind of demonic beast, maybe the demon cultivator opposite will be so enchanted that he'll automatically forfeit. Many female sword masters who were jealous of Lu Mu Yen being surrounded by beautiful men also said sour words. You shut up. Luo Li was furious. He stepped up and scolded with pressure. Pu. Yi Qing Han flashed and severely injured the woman who said the most disgusting words. Si Nan and the others also stood beside Lu Mu Yen and looked at the surrounding sword masters with cold eyes. This sir likes to cut people's tongues off to drink with wine these days, so just try to continue what you're saying. Yen Jun snorted coldly. Seeing that the people who had the best chance of advancing into the top 10 in this competition stood up to defend Lu Mu Yen, many people all went quiet, but they were unreconciled within. Xue Linger stood in an inconspicuous position behind the crowd, her gaze filled with hatred, and she was unaware that her palm was bleeding from being pieced by her nails. Inwardly, she hoped for Lu Mu Yen to agree to fight in a moment of hot-headedness, so that a great concern of hers would be eliminated. And not knowing whether the deities had hurt her hopes or not, Lu Mu Yen actually flashed out and landed opposite that demon cultivator to accept the challenge. Xue Linger clasped her hands together tightly, praying inwardly, "Kill Lu Mu Yen, shred her into pieces. I accept your challenge." Lu Mu Yen landed in front of the skeletal man, with a sweet, beautiful smile on her face. Those who were familiar with her would know upon seeing this smile that she was angered. Come and read on our website Wuxia World site. Thanks. Inwardly, it was a lie to say she wasn't touched by the several people defending her, but all disputes were useless. To be worthy of their support, she would have to beat up and kill this arrogant demon cultivator. So what if their peak phase tier 7? With a release of her family's Bing Ji, head be destroyed with one claw. Ha, I admire your courage. Seeing how sensible you are, when you die later, I'll make it quick. The skeletal man laughed loudly. Lu Mu Yen folded her arms, and looked past him towards the elderly, cyan-bearded man opposite. We human sword masters can use spirit pets to participate in the battle, right? Naturally you can. Spirit pets are also a part of the combat power of a human sword master. This was also allowed in the previous few battles. The elderly, cyan-bearded man didn't know why the girl's eyes were so sparkling bright, but he still had to say the rules for both sides. Some of the human sword masters were spirit beast masters, so they naturally had to cooperate with spirit pets to be able to fight with all their strength. As high-level demonic beasts themselves, although they looked down on those spirit pets that were tamed by humans, but they also admitted that they were already a part of the humans' combat power. Lu Mu Yen nodded, then that's fine. Pfft, why, do you think you can win me by letting out a few spirit pets? The skeletal man smiled disdainfully. Lu Mu Yen raised an eyebrow, don't worry, it'll definitely leave you a whole corpse. Although, it'll be a mummified corpse. There were so many tier 7 demonic beasts here. She'd feel too sorry for herself if she didn't let Xue out to suck and eat. In fact, Lu Mu Yen was still very grateful to this skeletal man from the bottom of her heart. After all, if he hadn't challenged her by name, then the other demonic beasts would probably look down on her due to her cultivation base, and that would mean that she wouldn't be able to fight and let Xue improve his cultivation base. Humph, shameless bragging, just let me see how you leave me a whole corpse. The skeletal man sneered, then stepped back to prepare for battle. Most of the human sword masters below weren't optimistic about Lu Mu Yen and felt that she was too impulsive. Not only would she, herself, die, but she would also lose their face and let them lose an entire hour. They felt very uncomfortable that she didn't forfeit. Talking big like this, she'd be even more embarrassing when she loses. A woman muttered. She was Si Nan's admirer. Seeing Si Nan always surrounding Lu Mu Yen, she couldn't wait for her to die quickly. But she had only just finished speaking when she was suddenly choked by the neck, and she couldn't resist screaming. Yet who would have thought that the moment she opened her mouth, a sword light flashed across, and her tongue instantly fell. Woo! Her mouth was filled with blood, and she couldn't speak, her whole face scrunched up in pain. Yen Jun let go of her neck, took out a handkerchief and wiped his hands, saying indifferently, "This sir will do as I've said." Them saying a few words, Lu Mu Yen wouldn't be affected as a whole, but he just didn't like to hear them disputing her. And after Yen Jun cut the woman's tongue at the speed of thunder and wind, no one else dared to slander Lu Mu Yen, and were deeply shocked by his methods. The back of the woman, who was injured by Yi Qing Han, felt a chill, and she sighed inwardly that luckily it wasn't Yen Jun that she faced. Why must you bother with them? Lu Mu Yen will naturally slap them in the face with facts. Ji Xian knew that Lu Mu Yen, that woman, was hiding a lot of means, and that late-phase tier 7 demon snake was killed by her. Since she dared to fight, then she must have confidence in her heart. Yen Jun glanced at him, "You sure have confidence in her? Don't tell me you think she'll lose." Ji Xian asked with a rather interested smile. Yan Jun hooked his lips and smiled. That woman naturally won't lose. With that cunning woman's temperament, if she knew she would lose this battle, then she definitely wouldn't take the initiative to go die. Then there was only one possibility, it was that she could challenge late phase tier 7 demonic beasts. He actually didn't quite know what to expect, or rather, he didn't have that much confidence. After listening to the conversation between the two, the others, except for Lu Muyan's supporters, all rolled their eyes. Where did such confidence come from for these two people to conclude that Lu Muyan would definitely win? Wasn't this talking nonsense with their eyes open? A fox spirit, Hu Li Jing, aka Vixen, is used to refer to an actual mythical fox spirit who's capable of shapeshifting. It's often used with negative connotations to describe seductive women as cunning and sly and always seducing men. Side note, for people noticing that the table of contents page hasn't updated in a while, it's because I can't update it. It can't be updated automatically, so I have to go and edit it each time to add new chapters. But now, upon opening the page to edit it, it freezes. So until I figure out a way to fix it or it fixes itself, it will be a little behind. You can use the search bar, chapter buttons on each chapter post, and/or the navigation on the right side of a page/post that shows the newest posts as alternatives to find certain chapters. Chapter 292, Face Slap, PA Papa. Not only were the human sword masters not optimistic about Lu Muyan, but the demonic beasts also belittled her. No way, Boss Chiu actually chose the weakest human sword master to challenge. It's not because he wants to take advantage of that person because she's beautiful, right? A standing transformation stage demon cultivator joked. Another demon cultivator beside him sneered, "Don't you know that Boss Chiu isn't interested in women?" I think, with his cold temperament, he took the initiative to challenge the human woman today definitely because they've formed a grudge before. I heard that Shi Ji died in the hands of a human woman, it couldn't be that woman, right? How could that be? That woman's cultivation base is only at advanced phase sword monarch, and Shi Ji is a late phase tier 7 demonic beast. It's impossible for her to die in her hands. Although this demon cultivator said so, but he also wasn't too sure. If this human woman didn't kill Shi Ji, then with Boss Chiu's temperament, he shouldn't have challenged her. Enough, well no, after we continue watching. One of the older demon cultivators said. What's there to watch? I'm sure that woman will be killed by Boss Chiu within 3 rounds. A female demon cultivator pursed her lips. All the people on both sides of the field were ready, and the battle was about to break out. Whatever spirit pets you have, release them all. The skeletal man looked disdainfully at Lu Muyan, but he didn't underestimate her the slightest. Shi Ji was a demonic beast at late phase tier 7, and also possessed several innate talents, yet she was killed by this woman. That meant that she was definitely not as simple as she appeared. Lu Muyan chuckled, as you wish. If she could gang fight, then she was too lazy to fight hard and slowly. Shue Shue sucking one counted as one. Then she waved her hand. Meow Meow on her wrist turned into a giant white python and fell behind the skeletal man. Shue Shue was all excited and flew out from Lu Muyan's other wrist, falling to the ground. A huge golden plant instantly grew from the ground, waving his golden vines covered in thorns. Bing Ji gave the skeletal man a disdainful look, spread his wings and flew high, but he suppressed his cultivation base to tier 7 with a secret skill. According to owner's words, this was called luring the enemy to go deeply. If the moment he appeared, he was a tier 8, then it'd probably scare the demonic beast to not dare challenge again. The 3 spirit pets surrounded the skeletal man from 3 sides. Lu Muyan rolled her fist, and a layer of light red flames covered her hand. She didn't need spirit flames to gang up on this demonic beast. The skeletal man's expression instantly changed. He obviously didn't expect that the human woman opposite would actually have 3 tier 7 spirit pets, and each were extraordinary. Before he could even make a move, all the humans and demonic beasts saw was Lu Muyan flashing about, her body like a ghost, instantly disappearing in the sky. Then when she appeared again, she landed right on top of the skeletal man's head and bombarded him punch after punch. Many people even heard the sound of breaking air. How's that possible? She has 3 tier 7 demonic beasts. She's actually an advanced grade spirit beast master. One of the humans exclaimed in disbelief. What kind of movements are those, so fast, I can't even see clearly. Someone rubbed their eyes and said. Is she really just an advanced phase sword monarch? She's not hiding her cultivation base, is she? Look, she actually hit that demon cultivator. One person shouted excitedly. On the field, Lu Mu Yan threw punches from the top of the skeletal man's head one after another. The man dodged quickly, but his leg was pulled by the vines from below and, unable to evade, he received a punch. And this punch shocked him deep to his core. Just what was this woman's hand made of? How was it harder than even them, demonic beasts? Then the 3 spirit pets swarmed up and started beating the skeletal man when he wasn't prepared. Lu Mu Yan's movements were ghostly, and countless fists soon landed on him. Come and read on our website Wuxia World site. Thanks, he was completely angered and instantly transformed into a huge black and white venomous snake. He raised his head and sprayed venom towards Lu Mu Yan. Heavens, his original form is actually the Silver Ring Serpent King. Lu Mu Yan's done for. The venom of the Silver Ring Serpent King ranked in the top 20 among the demonic beasts. As long as one was sprayed by his venom, they would immediately corrode and die. There was no fear at all on Lu Mu Yan's face, and instead, there was a trace of excitement. Meow meow, he's gifting you a crystal core. Owner, Meow Meow likes his crystal core. Meow Meow let out a cheer and opened her mouth to spray venomous gas towards the Silver Ring Serpent King. This man was not only a snake type but was also highly venomous. It was precisely the type of crystal core she wanted to refine, so that her venomous gas could also evolve. Lu Mu Yan didn't evade, but instead leapt in the direction of the venomous spray from the Silver Ring Serpent King. Heavens! Has Lu Mu Yan gone crazy? Is she courting death? She's actually taking the initiative to meet the venom. Lu Mu Bai and the others looked at the battle situation with worry, and their hearts were hovering high. Currently, whether it was the attention of the human sword masters or the demon cultivators, it was all focused on Lu Mu Yan and the Silver Ring Serpent King. Obviously, this battle exceeded their expectations. Lu Mu Yan's body overflowed with a layer of crimson light. Only a few people and demon cultivators discovered that the innermost layer of the crimson light circle was mixed with a very faint orange light. Your venom sac, I want it. Lu Mu Yan hooked the corners of her lips, and a gorgeous smile appeared on her stunning face. She had big use in collecting the deadliest venoms in this world. The venom sac of this Silver Ring Serpent King was much better than that she jis. To the surprise of everyone and the demon cultivators, after that liquid venom, that exuded black smoke and extreme stench, met that crimson circle of light, it automatically dissolved and evaporated and didn't hurt her the slightest. How's that possible? The Silver Ring Serpent King's eyes bulged, and he cried out in disbelief. Even if a human sword venerable powerhouse touched his venom, they wouldn't feel good, let alone a sword master at only sword monarch cultivation base. How could she not be harmed at all? He simply couldn't believe the facts before him. The elderly, cyan-bearded man stared at the faint orange light in Lu Mu Yan's circle of light, and his pupils constricted, obviously recognizing that it was a spirit flame. Just when the Silver Ring Serpent King was stunned, Xue Xue took the opportunity to stab his main vine into his body and quickly sucked blood. You dare! The Silver Ring Serpent King was shocked and struggled desperately to get rid of the shackles of the human-eating blood thorn vine. Bing Ji snorted coldly, opened his mouth, and a cloud of white mist shot out, instantly covering the Silver Ring Serpent King. When the white fog dissipated, everyone only saw that the Silver Ring Serpent King was frozen in ice that exuded a blue light, his eyes opened wide. But he couldn't break free from the ice. No one knew the pain that the Silver Ring Serpent King was in right now. He was hit by both Meow Meow's venomous gas and the poison from Xue Xue's venomous barbs, instantly paralyzing his body. In addition, Bing Jis ice sealed his entire body. He could only feel, in fear, his blood essence from his entire body being lost continuously. A moment later, Lu Mu Yen shattered the ice wrapped around the Silver Ring Serpent King with a punch. However, the Silver Ring Serpent King no longer had any power to resist. He fell to the ground below heavily, his body gradually withered, and he finally turned into a dried corpse. Lu Mu Yen quickly put his corpse into her interspatial ring. This serpent was filled with treasures from head to toe, and it was now her trophy that no one's taking away. The time she spent fighting the Silver Ring Serpent King was very short, but she won the battle, making both the human sword masters and the demon cultivators feel unable to accept it. The person who was originally determined to definitely die not only didn't die, but instead killed the other party in such a way that exceeded everyone's expectations, and even collected his body. This was blatantly slapping face. They only felt that their face had been slapped a few times, scorching hot and flustered. Chapter 293, Withstand 3 moves. Lu Mu Yan's victory was beyond every human and demon cultivator's expectations. But with facts presented before them, even if they couldn't accept it, they had to admit that their eyes were bad. In the first round of the match between human sword masters and demon cultivators, no one knew whether it was because of her influence or not, but they won 6 battles. This time, they had the priority to choose their opponents. Lu Mu Yen, do you still want to continue participating in the battle? Xiao Junyao said with a gentle smile, seeing the unabated fighting intent in her eyes. Lu Mu Yen nodded, asking, as long as I'm undefeated, I can keep fighting, right? Naturally you can. As long as you keep a winning streak, then you can continue to fight. Xiao Junyao also hoped that Lu Mu Yen would continue. After all, the combined combat powers of the 3 Tier 7 spirit pets around her was already extremely terrifying, which could also buy more time for the human cultivators. Alright. At the beginning of the second round, Lu Mu Yan's gaze focused directly on the man with cyan patterns on his face who she had a feud with. Most importantly, this demon cultivator was also a snake type. When the cyan-patterned man saw that Lu Mu Yen wanted to challenge him, his scalp was numb, but it was also what he expected. Remembering that he had once forced this woman to run away, and now he was chosen in the second round, he could tell that she was very vengeful. Not to mention it was also he who challenged her at first, so he could only toughen his head and go up to fight. Coming here to participate in the battle with the humans, they, as transformation stage demon cultivators, had already put their life and death aside. Sure enough, Lu Mu Yen didn't make a move at all, and the cyan-patterned man, even after using his all, couldn't escape the gang beating of the 3 spirit pets and eventually became food for the human-eating blood thorn vine king. Most of the opponents chosen by Lu Mu Yen in the next rounds were also all snake-type demon cultivators. After all, Miao Miao needed the crystal cores of Tier 7 demonic beasts to improve her strength. The Great Decisive War was inherently cruel to begin with, and it had long reached the point of either you die, or I die, so if she revealed mercy, then she would be the first to die in the hands of the opponent demon cultivator. The match lasted for 5 rounds and Lu Mu Yen never once fought herself. By only her 3 spirit pets alone, she swept her opponents clear. She didn't want to reveal too much of her own fighting style and trump cards right now. After all, after entering the top 10 in the finals at the peak of the mountain, she would meet 5 of the stronger participants in the competition. I've long heard that among the sword masters participating in the competition, there was a woman who excels at a raise. Today, let this old man come and experience it. In the final round of the one-on-one competition, the elderly, cyan-bearded man approached straight opposite of Lu Mu Yen. Each step he took, the surrounding space would fluctuate slightly, and the pressure that was subconsciously revealed had an imposing and pressing momentum. Whoa! Hearing the words of the elderly, cyan-bearded man, the human sword masters on the city wall were in an uproar. No one expected that the strongest demon cultivator opposite would actually choose Lu Mu Yen to battle. In the previous round, the demon cultivators won 6 battles, so they had the right to choose their opponents first in the final round. Lu Mu Yen won 5 battles in a row, which won them 5 hours of time, and also made them go from the initial ridicule to shock and amazement. In the end, many began to envy her for having 3 such powerful spirit pets. The people present were all sword masters who decided to stay and enter the finals. No one was a fool. Lu Mu Yan's ability to subdue 3 Tier 7 demon cultivators with very pure bloodlines meant that her own strength was definitely also extraordinary. Of course, there were also a small portion of people who didn't like her and still slandered her inwardly. Come and read on our website Wuxia World site. Thanks. A few streaks of redness appeared in Schwellinger's eyes. Each battle Lu Mu Yen won, her heart would feel uncomfortable. This time, seeing the peak phase Tier 8 demon cultivator taking the initiative to challenge Lu Mu Yen, her still heart began to grow active again. Thoughts such as kill her and shred her up kept flooding her mind. Old Qing, this is a little inappropriate, no? Xiao Junyao furrowed his brows and looked at the elderly, cyan-bearded man and said. Although Lu Mu Yan's spirit pets were powerful, but they definitely weren't Old Qing's opponents. The elders of the Heavenly Secret Palace had also secretly told him to win over Lu Mu Yan, so he naturally didn't dare to overtly agree to it but covertly oppose. Yes, Xiao Junyao, because of his extraordinary talent and strong background, had actually long been selected as a predetermined pupil by the Heavenly Secret Palace. As long as he could successfully enter the top 10, then he could directly enter the Heavenly Secret Palace and become their outer core pupil. The elderly, cyan-bearded man smiled carefreely. What's inappropriate? Didn't this little friend also use 3 spirit pets of the same tier to win in numbers? Since the rules of the battle laid bare, me choosing her is my freedom, and does not violate the rules set by your human almighties. There was ridicule in his words, and it could be heard that he was very dissatisfied with the human almighties who set this place as a competition space. Lu Mu Yen, the disparity in strength between you two is too great, you should give up this time. Xiao Junyao knew that the leader of the demon cultivators had been angered by Lu Mu Yen and wouldn't compromise, so he could only turn around and persuade her. Luo Li and the others also stepped forward to persuade her to forfeit. After all, Lu Mu Yen, whose strength was only equivalent to a Tier 6 demonic beast, definitely wouldn't be the opponent of a peak phase Tier 8 demonic beast. Lu Mu Yen smiled beautifully at everyone. No worries. I've long wanted to experience the combat strength of Tier 8 demonic beasts, so I accept this challenge. You've gone crazy, woman, absolutely unreasonable. This isn't a joke. You can experience it later, now is a battle of life and death. Luo Li looked at her with slight anger. Si Nan also disagreed. Lu Mu Yen, that old demon isn't easy to deal with, even Xiao Junya might not be an opponent. What he meant was that you shouldn't act capable. Xiao Junyao smiled bitterly. I'm definitely not his opponent. There were also whispers of discussion below, but due to the pressure of Yan Jun and the others, they didn't dare to speak too ill of Lu Mu Yen. However, they were still not optimistic about her battle this time. The elderly, cyan-bearded man didn't rush them either. He smiled lightly and waited for them to finish discussing. But after a sudden voice sounded in his sea of consciousness, his expression changed ever so slightly. I wonder how your discussion is going. He closed his eyes, then continued, little friend, I won't bully you either. As long as you can withstand 3 moves from this old man, then this old man will be considered to have lost. How about it? He originally wanted to take this opportunity to kill Lu Mu Yen. After all, she made them lose 5 transformation stage demon cultivators. But after hearing the direct instructions from Monarch, he could only give up his original plan. However, he also wanted to teach Lu Mu Yen, this arrogant junior, some lessons. The difference in cultivation base between me and you is too great. If I agree and take on your 3 moves, then you can't just reduce the time by an hour. Lu Mu Yen stepped forward and raised her conditions with a light smile. Hearing her arrogant and unrestrained bargaining with the opponent's strongest demon cultivator, Si Nan and the others couldn't resist twitching their lips. Everything about this woman was good, but she was just too shrewd. But wasn't she a little too confident in herself? In their opinion, Lu Mu Yen being able to withstand 3 moves of her opponent was difficult, very difficult, extremely difficult. The elderly, cyan-bearded man sneered, with a trace of anger in his eyes. All right. If you can withstand 3 moves of this old man's, the melee time can be reduced by another 4 hours. Then, he immediately turned the conversation on its head and looked at Lu Mu Yen sharply, asking, but what if you can't withstand 3 moves from this old man? Chapter 294, Play Big, but what if you can't withstand 3 moves from this old man? The elderly, cyan-bearded man couldn't kill Lu Mu Yen, but he didn't want to let her go so easily. He already had a plan in his heart to turn her into a crippled person. Lu Mu Yen smiled lightly and raised an eyebrow. If I can't withstand 3 moves, then even if I don't die, I'd be severely injured. If you still want to play, then why don't we bet a bit, playing big? Ha, what big talk? How do you want to bet? The elderly, cyan-bearded man sneered. He was still extremely confident in his 3 moves. If I can successfully withstand your 3 moves, then you'll give me the few dozens of spiritual herbs and spars unique to this space that I need. If I can't take your 3 moves, then I'll gift you the orange blaze I have. Lu Mu Yen tossed out a bait, and a bold smile rose on her little face, making her impossible to ignore. The elderly, cyan-bearded man originally didn't care, but when he heard the orange blaze Lu Mu Yen spoke of, his pupils constricted. All right. This old man will bet. Sign a contract as proof. Lu Mu Yen suddenly held a contract text that had been refined with the restrictions of the laws of heaven and earth. She wrote on it with her spiritual energy, dropped a drop of blood on it, then threw it to the other party. The elderly, cyan-bearded man snorted coldly. Since you want to do this, then this old man will accompany you to the end. After speaking, he took the contract text and wrote the agreement on it, and also dropped a drop of blood essence. Instantly, the contract text flashed with a silver light, then disappeared into the bodies of the 1 human, 1 demon. Has Lu Mu Yen gone crazy? Not only does she dare to fight, but she also offered to make some bet. Just where does she get this confidence? Someone from the human sword masters couldn't help but exclaim. I'm afraid that she was carried away by the previous 5 winning streak. I originally thought she was a calm and rational person, but who knew that she'd be so disappointing? One of the elite pupils of a superpower kingdom sighed. The crown prince of Nanshuan smiled gloatingly and said, it seems that even without me acting, Lu Mu Yen, that woman who can't tell good from bad, will kill herself. When Lu Mu Yen died, Head quietly snatched the interspatial ring from her. He still didn't give up on that Sumeru light boat. Big brother, will Lu Mu Yen be alright? Luo Li's face was filled with worry, and he tugged at Luo Ye's sleeve. Luo Ye's eyes were still indifferent, and he said slowly, she never does anything uncertain, don't worry. As long as it's about Lu Mu Yen, he can't predict anything, which meant that she had unmatched luck on her, turning ill luck into good. Since she dared to agree to fight, then she must have some certainty. Hearing Luo Ye's words, Si Nan and the others' hovering hearts also relaxed a lot, but they were still very nervous as they looked at the 1 human, 1 demon in the air. Because of their 3-move agreement, the other human sword masters and demon cultivators didn't fight immediately, but instead, stood on their sides, watching their offense and defense. In a corner of the city wall, a stern-looking man in black squinted slightly and stared at Lu Mu Yen intently. He had a feeling that this woman would be his biggest obstacle to winning first place. Please. Lu Mu Yen spread out her hand and signaled that the elderly, cyan-bearded man could begin. The elderly, cyan-bearded man wasn't polite either. He stretched out 1 hand and traces of demonic energy wound around his palm, the power gradually increasing. Lu Mu Yen felt that the energy storm that the elderly, cyan-bearded man wanted to condense took around 9/10 of his entire power. She narrowed her eyes and constantly formed seals in front of her chest. Then, with a flick of her finger, a few white, lustrous jade stones buried in several directions underground. Go! After a few breaths of time the elderly, cyan-bearded man's gaze blazed like torches. He waved his hand and a purple ball of light with lightning escaped from his palm. Although the ball of light was small, but it carried blazing power, and the surrounding sky quickly darkened with lightning and thunder. That old demon is actually a thunder attribute demonic beast. Lu Mu Yan is in danger. Sinan clenched his hands tightly, his black eyes widening. The expressions of Luo Li and the others instantly turned grim. The ball of light opposite even made them feel a sense of danger. If they greeted it, even if they used their trump cards, they might still be hurt. Xiao Junyao's gentle expression sank. He obviously didn't expect the other party to use Thunderbolt means to destroy Lu Mu Yan as soon as he began. Come and read on our website Wuxia World site. Thanks, but once the one-on-one challenge began, he couldn't help nor interfere. And looking at the violent ball of light, his brows knitted even deeper. If he used his trump cards, he might be able to withstand it. But Lu Mu Yan's cultivation base was simply too low. With just this first move, she was in danger of dying. The ball of light quickly approached Lu Mu Yan, and the closer it got, the larger the size of the ball, and all those present were emotionally stirred by that power. Rise! Lu Mu Yan shouted, her palms flipped up and she slapped hard. Puchi! Walls of fire rose one after the other from the ground, blocking in front her. The ball of light slammed into the fire wall, setting off dazzling and sparkling light curtains. Although the light was blinding, but the people present didn't evade as they squinted their eyes and stared straight ahead. Wherever the ball of light went, a wall of fire would instantly collapse, but after the wall of fire was annihilated, another one would emerge from the rear. Gradually, the speed of the ball of light passing through the fire wall slowed down a lot, and the time it took to annihilate one fire wall was also not as fast as it was in the beginning. Lu Mu Yan discovered that the power in the ball of light was only cancelled by 1/3, so she immediately formed seal. Jade-colored runes emerged from her body and fell into the fire array. Puchi! As soon as the jade-colored runes entered the fire array, 100 more fire walls emerged from the ground to block the ball of light ahead of her, and the center of the crimson wall of fire also had a faint orange color. When the ball of light passed through the last wall of fire, its power had been greatly reduced, but it had not yet disappeared. Lu Mu Yan's fist exuded a layer of faint orange light, and she jumped up herself, greeting it with her fist. Everyone couldn't help but twitch the corners of their lips, watching such actions from her. How could such a woman whose beauty could cause the downfall of a kingdom be so violent? Then something completely unexpected occurred. After Lu Mu Yan punched the ball of light with all her strength, the ball of light flashed purple light a few times and actually gradually faded, then finally disappeared. Although Lu Mu Yan was also forced back 100 meters, but she actually withstood the first move of the peak phase Tier 8 Demon Cultivator. Whoa! The people on the city wall couldn't help but be in an uproar again. Lu Mu Yan's attainments in arrays must be comparable to that of a Grade 3 array master, right? Those hundreds of elemental energy fire walls resisted most of the ball of light's power, so that's why she could withstand that move. So arrays could even be used in such wonderful ways. It sure is the first time I knew of this. Many people were astounded by the temporary fire array that was arranged by Lu Mu Yan. Who knew? Who knew? This woman seems to have long been prepared. No wonder she dared to agree to the 3-move contract, and even increased the stakes. Some of the men looked at Lu Mu Yan with fiery eyes. A lovely and graceful woman made a gentleman pursue. Lu Mu Yan was beautiful in appearance and was strong in abilities, which made many people admire her. In a world where the strong were respected, strength was the criterion for testing truth. The strong could attract the attention of countless people wherever they went. At this time, many sword masters present already forgot how they weren't optimistic about Lu Mu Yan before, and only felt that she was peerlessly breathtaking. A coldness flashed past the elderly, cyan-bearded man's eyes. That ball of light was condensed with 9/10 of his demonic energy plus his thunder attribute talent, yet it was actually withstood by that woman opposite. The contempt in his heart dissipated instantly. With a bit of caution in his eyes, he said, as expected of the dark horse that emerged among the human sword masters in this competition. Although you used arrays, but you are qualified to battle this old man on an equal footing after withstanding this old man's one move. However, you have to be careful with the second move. Chapter 295. Act shamelessly. Lu Muyan's face was slightly pale, appearing as if she had just exhausted too much elemental energy when she withstood that move just now. She took out a white porcelain bottle and poured out a round, lustrous pill that exuded a serene pill fragrance into her mouth. Sure. I'm waiting. Condensing so many walls of fire just now really consumed a lot of her spiritual energy, but her spiritual energy's purity was incomparable against others at the same stage. Her pale face and taking pills were only a facade. But even though she created this facade, it still shocked the demon cultivators and human sword masters here. Lu Muyan taking on the first move of a peak phase tier 8 demon cultivator only just consumed her elemental energy, and she wasn't even injured. It made many people start to look at her squarely. The pill she took just now is grade 3, right? Because the first move Lu Muyan just withstood forced her back towards the location of the city wall, so everyone standing in the front could smell the pill fragrance. Yeah. It smells like a grade 3 pill that can replenish elemental energy. Isn't that too luxurious? It's such a waste to take pills that replenishes elemental energy at such a time. What do you know? If you don't replenish your elemental energy, what if you can't withstand the second move? Is the pill more important or your life? I wonder if she can withstand the second move too. That's hard to say. If it's based on estimates, then she definitely can't, but it seems she still has means. Isn't it enough to just use her array just now? Can't you see that old demon looking so confident? This second move definitely isn't easy to withstand. To be honest, I'm still not very optimistic about Lu Muyan. After all, her cultivation base is too low. There were endless streams of discussions from below, and Lu Muyan had no time to pay attention to them. The elderly, cyan-bearded man flipped his palm over this time and a cyan bead flew up automatically. He opened his mouth and exhaled a breath of essence. The bead turned around and quickly expanded to the size of a palm. The bead of this old demon actually has the effect of breaking arrays. Mo Ling, who had not spoken for a while, suddenly said. Yan Jun furrowed his brows. Is there an attack effect? Didn't you see him blow a breath of essence? Mo Ling glanced at him, then stared intently at the battlefield without saying any more. Yan Jun's eyes revealed slight concern. Maybe she doesn't only have arrays as a means. Others also watched with trepidation. After the situation developed until now, they were simply powerless to stop it. Sacrifice. The elderly, cyan-bearded man channeled all his demonic energy into the cyan bead. Then the bead flew in an arc towards Lu Muyan. I'll see just how your fire array can withstand this old man's thunder water bead. Lu Muyan recognized at a glance that the cyan bead was a peak-quality saint tool, not only possessing the offensiveness of the thunder attribute, but it also had the effect of breaking arrays. She hooked her lips into a smile, then gestured at Xue Xue with a wave of her hands. Xue Xue suddenly shrank and turned into a golden vine that landed on her. Instantly, a golden armor wrapped around Lu Muyan's entire body. The jade stone's energy in the ground had yet to be used up, so she summoned 100 fire walls to resist again. As soon as the cyan bead came into contact with the fire walls, a bright light burst in the air. It didn't directly obliterate the fire walls, but instead penetrated it layer by layer. Although the strength was weakened a portion, but it didn't affect its power. There was a layer of blue water droplets in the center of the cyan bead, and the walls of fire collapsed on its own as if it had encountered its nemesis. Most importantly, the cyan bead carried the entire demonic energy of the old demon, and it also had an amplifying effect. The power that tore through the air made the surrounding space appear to tremble. Come and read on our website Wuxia World site. Thanks, this power is nearly twice as strong as last time. Lu Muyan's in danger. A sword master from a superpower kingdom couldn't resist saying. Who expected that the old demon actually had such a treasure? I'm afraid not many people even in the same tier can take such a blow. Lu Muyan's expression didn't change, as if she had long expected this. When the cyan bead approached, with a thought, a palm-sized light boat landed in front of her and rapidly swelled up in size. When the light boat became more than a meter long, the cyan bead's attack landed, and the two collided, creating keng-keng sounds. The Sumeru light boat's defensive ability was very strong, and after meeting the cyan bead, it wasn't defeated. Instead, there was a stalemate between the one bead and one boat. Lu Mu Yen tapped her toes lightly, and her fists fell like raindrops, creating countless golden streaks in the sky. The faint, eerie light on the cyan bead suddenly disappeared with a crack. With a wave of her hand, countless golden vines wove into a net around the cyan bead. The cyan bead struggled desperately under the control of the elderly man but couldn't escape the golden net. Lu Mu Yen curled the corners of her lips, and quickly formed seals in the air. In only a moment, a long, jade-colored rune belt quickly disappeared into the golden net to wrap around the cyan bead. Instantly, the cyan bead's light dimmed, then finally stopped struggling as if it was a dead thing. What? How's this possible? Many people couldn't help exclaiming when they saw this scene. The expression of the elderly, cyan-bearded man changed, and he quickly released his mental energy, wanting to control the cyan bead. However, who knew that his mental energy was like a stone sinking into the deep sea, having no connection with the cyan bead. Lu Mu Yen naturally wouldn't give him a chance to continue to control the cyan bead. With a beckon of her hand, the golden net swept the cyan bead within it over and landed in Lu Mu Yen's hands. If one observed carefully, there was also a layer of jade-colored runes on the surface of the cyan bead that was constantly circulating. You are simply too polite. I'll accept this meeting gift with some embarrassment. Lu Mu Yen smiled reservedly at the elderly man. Then she took out a special agarwood box and tossed the bead into it with the net, stuck 2 yellow talismans onto the lid of the box, and put it back into her interspatial ring. The elderly, cyan-bearded man's face was ashen and scolded. What are you doing? That is this old man's treasure, how dare you take it for yourself in public? Lu Mu Yen blinked in confusion. Is this bead yours? Then call out to it. If it answers you, then I'll return it to you. Hearing her shameless words, the corners of the lips of those present twitched crazily. They've met shameless and unreasonable people, but they sure had never met such a shameless person. The elderly, cyan-bearded man almost spit out a mouthful of old blood. You sealed it up and cut off its contact with me, how can I call it? Well then, that's not my problem. Lu Mu Yen shrugged innocently, expressing that she was powerless. She huffed inwardly. This treasure already landed in her own hands, and you still want it back. Do you think she's a moron? This cyan bead gave her a very intimate feeling, especially the water droplets flowing in it that just gave her a sense of mystery. She definitely wouldn't return it. You, the elderly, cyan-bearded man was completely speechless at her rogue ways. His heart was bleeding. That was a P-quality magic tool that he had finally obtained with great difficulty. Not to mention its powerful effects, but it was also very mysterious. He hadn't even studied it thoroughly yet, but it was taken away in public by a junior just like this. Senior, don't be so stingy. There are unwritten rules in this world, and the things you obtain during battle is your own trophy. Lu Mu Yen gave the elderly man a look as if to say you're so stingy, then also smiled as if she was very considerate of him and said, if you aren't reconciled, then you can come and snatch mine. Good. Good. The elderly, cyan-bearded man turned his anger into smiles. Since you're so hasty to gift this old man things, then this old man will not hold back for the next move. The thunder water bead must be snatched back no matter what. Since Lu Mu Yen started it, then he'd rob her of her interspatial ring and leave her with nothing after becoming trash. You can come at me as you will, but make sure you don't sprain your old back muscles. Lu Mu Yen chuckled aloud, filled with ridicule. From the very beginning, she could see that this demon cultivator had no intention of killing her, but he had malicious intent. He wanted to cripple her, but he'd have to see if she agreed or not. Chapter 296, You Lost. When the elderly, cyan-bearded man heard Lu Mu Yan's sarcastic words, his beard twitched in anger and he decided even more to teach her a lifelong, unforgettable lesson. He knew that he wouldn't be able to hurt her at all if he used tricks similar to his previous 2 moves. He had underestimated this woman who could kill Shiji and her elder brother. He raised his head and roared, then instantly transformed into his original form, looking at Lu Mu Yen with cold eyes. Lu Mu Yen was slightly surprised, looking at the huge cyan black crocodile. Because the other party's cultivation base was higher than hers, so she could only tell that he was a demonic beast with the thunder attribute, but she didn't expect it to be a cyan thunder crocodile. This old man's 3rd move is coming, you better catch it well. The huge crocodile opened its mouth and spoke human words. Then he moved his body quickly, and after approaching Lu Mu Yen, the demonic energy brewing in his body was transformed in his Yaofu. Finally he opened his mouth and spat out a thunder ball carrying lightning. The thunder ball was surrounded by thunder and lightning, was still sizzling, and although it didn't seem to have much energy on the surface, but it hid the ultimate move of the cyan thunder crocodile within. Lu Mu Yen sensed life-threatening danger from the thunder ball, and her eyes grew solemn. What's that? Ji Xian furrowed his brows and looked at the thunder ball with fear. He just felt that it was something that could destroy the world. Luo Yi was blind, but his heart wasn't. He was also the most rational of the few. He felt the energy in the thunder ball, and revealed a rare expression of worry, that power is something that even if a sword venerable could withstand it, they may be injured. I wonder if Lu Mu Yen has any more trump cards to withstand it. Yi Qing Han clenched his hands so tightly that the blue veins in both hands were popping. He wanted to step forward to block the blow for Lu Mu Yen, but was pulled back by Lu Mu Bai beside him. He looked sideways at Lu Mu Bai in confusion. Trust her. The worry in Lu Mu Bai's eyes were no less than the others, but he believed in his little sister. Yi Qing Han's footsteps paused. He looked at the slender woman who was fighting in the sky, rapidly condensing Taoist seals, then finally retracted his steps. With Lu Mu Yan's pride, she definitely wouldn't want him to suddenly intervene. He wasn't afraid to reveal his trump card and identity, but he was afraid that she wouldn't like his interference. With a sigh, Yi Qing Han pressed his lips together and stared ahead quietly, with only that purple, slender figure filling in his eyes. When Bing Ji saw the thunder ball heading towards Lu Mu Yen, he was near unable to hold himself back. How could owner withstand such an energy? But when he wanted to break his secret skill that suppressed his cultivation base, he was stopped by Lu Mu Yan's gaze. Mo Yen, how about we try your secret skill? Lu Mu Yan's hand movements didn't stop, and she repeatedly formed the secret skill's Taoist seals that Mo Yen spoke of before. Mo Yen had taught her the secret skill before he fell into a deep sleep once. She could use a part of Mo Yen's power. And at this time, she really wanted to try just how powerful the secret skill was. She believed that the secret skill that even Mo Yen praised definitely wouldn't be too weak. At least, it should be fine taking on a peak phase tier 8 cyan thunder crocodile. Standing on one of Lu Mu Yan's shoulders, Mo Yan's eyes were as deep as the sea. All right. After he finished speaking, he muttered a few words, then his paws surreptitiously drew a complicated pattern. Lu Mu Yen felt a gentle force coming from her body, and she didn't reject it. Instead, this force quickly blended in with her own spiritual energy. She could feel Mo Yan's natal spirit flame, and she could even mobilize some of the netherworld flame if she wanted to. The thunder ball landed on top of her head and instantly exploded. Streaks of thunder and lightning struck down from above, as if it would strike her into ashes. As soon as she raised her hand, golden flying swords formed sword arcs and dashed out swiftly, forming a cyclone with the power of an 8 trigrams. Immediately, a layer of an orange shield, with slivers of spectral purple, suddenly appeared around her, and her hands were also enveloped in a layer of such flames. The golden swords formed an 8 trigram sword arc array which directly blocked the attack of the thunderball. Come and read on our website Wuxia World site. Thanks. She quickly changed Taoist seals and the sword array also followed in changing. Golden arcs of sword light flew out from the 8 trigrams and slashed towards the thunderball. The thunder and lightning that struck down from the thunderball reflected numerous shadows beneath the golden arc sword lights when they clashed. This was a sword array she researched by combining a set of sword techniques from that Earth rank sword skill, and it had exceptional power. However, this was, after all, the strongest move of a peak phase tier 8 demonic beast. The sword array resisted for a while, then let out a buzzing sound and the golden sword light gradually dimmed. After Lu Mu Yen finished the last Taoist seal, a spectral cluster of dark purple flames seemed to light up in her eyes, watching the golden sword arc be annihilated and collapse little by little under the thunder and lightning. With a wave of both hands, all 10 flying swords formed a giant long sword and slashed towards the thunderball fiercely. The elderly, cyan-bearded man's slightly cloudy eyes concealed a trace of fear. He snorted coldly, opened his mouth, and a cyan-red glow spurted out of his mouth. As soon as the gleaming cyan light landed on the thunderball, the strength of the thunderball that had been weakened suddenly skyrocketed, and the cyan light flourished. Thunder and lightning struck one after another, and the golden sword aura was split and annihilated. It was as if Lu Mu Yen had long expected this. When the thunder and lightning struck the golden giant sword, she immediately beckoned with her hand and withdrew her natal magic tool. She was still rather satisfied with the power of this sword array. Although that sword skill was only Earth rank, but there were many laws contained within it that allowed her to comprehend many things. And because of this, she had great interest in that Almighty's inheritance hall. Although she wasn't a sword cultivator in the immortal cultivation world, but she was still very interested in the path of the sword, otherwise she wouldn't know sword arrays. After putting away her natal magic tool, Lu Mu Yen lightly tapped her toes, turned into an orange light, and waved her fists, slamming directly towards that cyan ball of flourishing light. Her mad actions, as if she didn't want her life at all, startled the people standing on the city wall. Lu Mu Yan's gone crazy, right? Someone sighed with emotions and a numb scalp. Meeting this kind of power like this was basically the word death. Just what was she thinking? Did she dislike that she was living too long and wanted to seek death herself? Xiao Junyao knitted his brows deeply. He felt Lu Mu Yan's aura was getting stronger and stronger, and the thin layer of orange light on her hand carried a huge amount of blazing energy. As the temperature around him continued to rise, his pupils constricted. This was the aura of a spirit flame. Even if it was suppressed until it was very weak by Lu Mu Yen, but he still noticed with his unique constitution. The indifferent gaze of the stern man who was hiding in the crowd was also gradually dyed with a layer of solemnity. The corners of his lips raised slightly. Lu Mu Yen actually refined a spirit flame. Interesting, it was very interesting. Bang bang. When Lu Mu Yen, who had become a streak of orange light, collided with the thunderball, the entire sky resounded with explosions. Blinding light made people squint, and Lu Mu Yan's figure was also drowned in the light. The sword masters on the city wall and the demon cultivators opposite all stared intently at the dazzling light. They eagerly wanted to know if Lu Mu Yen was dead or not. After a moment, the light gradually faded away. Pu. A muffled sound was heard. Immediately, a silhouette of a person that was like a kite with a broken string fell from a high altitude, making the people watching all extremely apprehensive, and their hearts couldn't help but hover as their gaze locked onto her. It was just that when she was about to slam against the ground heavily, the figure suddenly stabilized itself and the speed of the boat's descent slowed down instantly, finally landing on both feet steadily. The ribbon that tied her hair had already been shattered by the force and her waist-length black hair fluttered in the wind. Her face was slightly pale and there was still undried blood on the corner of her lips. The light purple dress perfectly wrapped around her delicate and exquisite body. She reached out a hand and wiped the blood from her lips, then raised her head and looked calmly at the elderly, cyan-bearded man who was completely stunned. I have already withstood your 3 moves. You lost. Her voice wasn't loud, but it filled the ears of everyone present. Chapter 297, Black Forest. After Lu Mu Yen withstood the last move, the energy of the thunder ball in mid-air also dissipated from this world along with the orange light from her fist. The human sword masters were all dumbfounded. After a while, someone stuttered and exclaimed, Lu Mu Yen, she withstood it? How is this possible? Is she really just an advanced phase sword monarch? She should be. I heard that she's always been able to skip stage battle. Even if she can skip stage battle, but isn't this a little too exaggerated? That's a demonic beast at peak phase tier 8. Didn't you see that she's also seriously injured? It must have taken the last of her energy to withstand the last blow. In any case, she indeed hid her abilities well. No wonder she can become the dark horse in the preliminary and semifinals. Yeah. We really underestimated her too much before. Maybe she can still maintain her dark horse position in the finals. That might not happen. She and the demon cultivator are just taking blows, and not battling. Xiao Junyao and the others aren't vegetarians either. It's not easy to compete for the top 10 from them. In fact, although many people were shocked that Lu Mu Yan could withstand 3 moves from the demon cultivator, but they still didn't want to believe that she could advance into the top 10 of the finals. Reconciled. Of course, some people were also completely convinced by her. It wasn't luck that she became the dark horse in this competition. This kind of energy wasn't something that even a sword sovereign could take on, right? How did she do it? Lu Mu Yan really won't disappoint. Luo Li stared at Lu Mu Yan with starry eyes. Lu Mu Bai and the others also heaved a sigh of relief, their palms filled with sweat. They believed in her, but they were also afraid that accidents might occur. Fortunately, she was always so unexpected. How did you do it? The elderly, cyan-bearded man transformed from the cyan thunder crocodile restrained the disbelief in his eyes. He just couldn't figure it out. Even if Lu Mu Yan had a spirit flame, but she still couldn't have possibly taken on his strongest blow. He vaguely felt that her strength seemed to have increased greatly after the sword array was withdrawn. But it was only a fleeting feeling, and he had no idea inwardly, so he was very curious. Lu Mu Yan poured out a pill to treat her internal injuries. Her face was still pale, but she stood proudly and had an outstanding temperament. This, you don't need to know. She borrowed 1/3 of Mo Yan's strength just now to resist the thunder ball, but because the opponent was the most aggressive thunder attribute demonic beast, so she was still injured. Of course, if she borrowed all of Mo Yan's power, she definitely wouldn't be injured, but she would also plant seeds of suspicion in the hearts of everyone here, and they would definitely think that she had some sort of magical treasure and there would be endless trouble in the future. Now that she appeared seriously injured, then even if those people thought that she was incredible, they would only fear her and would not be blinded by illusory things. And she only just wanted to try the power of the secret skill. She wouldn't rely on Mo Yan's power to fight again until the moment of light and death. This old man has lost. Give me the names of the spiritual herbs and spars you want. The elderly, cyan-bearded man's gaze was uncertain, but he could still afford to lose. This girl indeed had many means, and Ji and her elder brother didn't die by her hands in vain. Lu Mu Yan's expression improved only after hearing his words. She took out a jade slip and used her mental energy to engrave her desired spiritual herbs and spars, then tossed it to the elderly man. Then I'd like to thank Senior. Can you deliver it to me after the melee is over? The elderly, cyan-bearded man didn't reply immediately. He took the jade slip and scanned it, then discovered that although the spiritual herbs and spars were all high-end goods, but they could indeed be collected within a day. Come and read on our website Wuxia World site. Thanks, I can. His voice was a little heavy, and one could tell he was unhappy. It was the first time that he had been calculated by a human in so many years, and the anger in his heart couldn't be extinguished no matter what, yet there was nothing he could do. The two sides stopped the fight for 2 hours to recover and the melee would begin 2 hours later. After Lu Mu Yan returned to the city wall, there were many people who wanted to come to flirt with her, but were threatened away by Luo Li. She was happy to have some peace, so she found a quiet place and took another spiritual recovery pill to recover quickly. During the melee, Xue Xue could take the opportunity to suck more blood essence, and she also wanted to try to advance the color of her jade tablet. 2 hours later, a horn sounded in this space, and the people on both sides stood up and they leapt out of the city wall. On the plain, the human sword masters and demonic beasts instantly battled it out. Various colored sword lights and demonic energy turned the entire sky into rainbow colors. As soon as Lu Mu Yen jumped off the city wall, she was surrounded by 5 transformation stage demon cultivators, and there were no less than 100 tier 6 demonic beasts. Luo Li and the others, seeing that it wasn't good, swiftly wanted to rush in her direction to provide reinforcements, but they were all blocked by the demon cultivators intentionally or unintentionally. Lu Mu Yen glanced at the 3 men and 2 women who were leading with a half smile. "You want to besiege and kill me? You sure are self-aware. Hand over King Cyan bead and we can leave you a whole corpse." One of the demon cultivators swept their gaze over Lu Mu Yen without fear and said. Lu Mu Yen chuckled and raised an eyebrow. "Just with you guys?" The elderly, cyan-bearded man would indeed no longer shamelessly attack her in public, but he could still instruct the demon cultivators under him to kill her. But of course, she wouldn't be polite to the demon cultivators who came to bully her. "Humph, big talk." The leading demon cultivator snorted coldly, exchanged a look with the other demon cultivators, and attacked Lu Mu Yen simultaneously. With a thought, 10 golden swords flew out from Lu Mu Yan's cuffs to form a sword array and quickly returned with an attack. The several spirit pets all transformed into their huge original forms and cooperated with her golden swords to quickly harvest the lives of the demonic beasts that were constantly rushing towards them. Lu Mu Yen used flash steps and blasted punch after punch, while controlling the sword array to kill her enemies quickly. She and her few spirit pets quickly beheaded the 5 demon cultivators at transformation stage, turning them into nourishment for Xue Xue. All the way forward, the 1 person and her demons slaughtered, and each of the demonic beasts that attacked her all turned into dried corpses. Her moves were terrifying with unbridled dominance. Her vigorous melee fighting style also attracted the attention of many conscientious people. 2 days later, the identity jade tablet in Lu Mu Yan's hand turned green, and her ranking advanced to 1st place. Chu Yen was dragged down to 2nd. Another horn sounded and the time of the melee was over. However, all the human sword masters who participated in the competition didn't rest or stop at this time at all, as they all rushed through the encirclement of demonic beasts and flew towards the deep mountains in the distance. Lu Mu Yen was no exception. The time to reach the peak of the mountain was limited, and all those who couldn't reach the top of the mountain within 10 days would be eliminated. Of course, the peak of the mountain wasn't that easy to get up to either. Various restrictions, arrays and demonic beast ambushes were common occurrences. After the melee, the alliances were also automatically negated. Lu Mu Yan's group and Yi Qing Han's group rushed towards the top of the mountain. Half a day later, they arrived in a rainy forest where the trees and the ground were all deep black and no grass grew anywhere. Many people in front of them were blocked outside the forest, and a few greedy people, who wanted to receive credit and took the risk of entering, all fell onto the ground and died the moment they took 1 step onto the black soil, as if they had been poisoned, their bodies quickly decaying, leaving behind only skeletons. Chapter 298, the most difficult restriction to break in the competition space at this time. Many sword masters from elite teams had already arrived at the periphery of the Black Forest, but they had all stopped and tried every means to enter. Hearing the sound of footsteps, Ji Xian and the others saw Lu Mu Yen and her party approaching. "Lu Mu Yen, you've all come." Lu Mu Yen swept the woods in front of her with her gaze, then asked with a smile, "What's the situation ahead?" Yan Jun's handsome face revealed slight helplessness. "It's precisely what you see, we're trapped outside the mountain forest." Lu Mu Yen nodded, and her eyes fell on Mo Ling, who was holding an array compass outside the Black Land, investigating back and forth with several other people. Mo Ling and the others, what are they doing? Lu Mu Yen had a guess in her heart. Yan Jun replied, "They're breaking the restriction." "Is this a restriction here?" Si Nan, who arrived later, just happened to hear Yan Jun's words and asked in surprise. According to Mo Ling and the others' speculation, this is indeed the case. Yan Jun said. "Lu Mu Yen, you all sure are fast." Luo Li walked up to her and smiled warmly. Lu Mu Yen smiled lightly and said, "We also just arrived." "Young Miss Lu, what do you think of this place?" Mo Ling heard the several people talking and came over with his array compass. Lu Mu Yan looked at the Black Forest carefully, then after a while, she said, "It's true that a restriction was arranged here by someone. As long as it can be broken, the poison in the woods that can corrode a sword master's shield will dissipate. Isn't that obvious?" Mo Ling and the others already realized it was a restriction. What's the difference between you saying it and not? Although the Crown Prince of Nanxuan was afraid of Lu Mu Yan, but now, with so many people, he wasn't so afraid, pretentious. The most important thing was that aside from the semi-finals where one could kill others to contend for identity jade tablets, other parties weren't allowed to kill each other during other times, and they would be disqualified immediately once they're discovered. Lu Mu Yan naturally knew this, so she didn't bother to pay attention to such boring people that sought for trouble. Fool. She spit out the word lightly, then went straight to the junction of black soil and brown soil, past the others, and squatted down to check. "Don't talk if you don't know how to speak." Mo Ling gave the Crown Prince of Nanxuan a cold look. "Lu Mu Yan may be the key to breaking the restriction for us. If you speak anymore, then leave now." Not only did he want to sit idly and enjoy the fruits of others' labor, but he even slandered. If Lu Mu Yan was provoked by him and didn't care about this any longer, then they would be the ones to suffer the losses. After all, he and the several other array masters had already studied it. Even if they joined forces, it would take at least 10 days to break the array, and the weak point they discovered may not even be the correct one. By then, even if the restriction was broken, they would all be disqualified from the competition. Luo Li and the others present also stared at the Crown Prince of Nanxuan with displeased expressions, as if they would throw him out of here together as long as he said a word more. The Crown Prince of Nanxuan revealed anger in his eyes, but he didn't say any more. With his cultivation base, he still had a chance to advance into the top 10, but he didn't understand arrays, let alone breaking restrictions. He was also anxious to break the restriction and advance to the peak of the mountain, so he naturally didn't dare to offend Mo Ling and the others. There were 6 people who participated in breaking the restriction before, and 3 of them were from superpower kingdoms. 2 of them were disdainful of Lu Mu Yan, who was squatting and investigating the array. Having good attainments in arrays didn't mean that she could break a restriction of such difficulty. They didn't believe at all that a sword master from a small kingdom really understood such profound arrays and restrictions. Come and read on our website Wuxia World site. Thanks of course, at this time, although they were inwardly contemptuous, but they didn't say anything to ridicule. One was because the Crown Prince of Nangxin's mockery already caused public anger. As long as there was a glimmer of hope, the sword masters present would naturally not let it go. And 2, although they were contemptuous of her, but they also held a glimmer of hope. Either way, they felt very conflicted. Inside the castle in the center of the competition space, the elder of the sword sect furrowed his brows and said, "How could they encounter the Black Forest on the way to the top of the mountain? This is bad. Yeah, they sure are so unlucky to have encountered the Black Forest that hasn't appeared for a century. This is a restriction arranged by that grade 4 array master." From memory, all the participating sword masters who encountered this place 100 years ago were all eliminated, right? The elder of the vast mountain sect's expression also looked very ugly. The path to the top of the finals was formed by a combination of various arrays and restrictions, and it was also the doing of the few almighties who sealed this space. No one could change it. The Black Forest was the creation of a disciple of one of the almighties in a moment of interest. He was not only a great array master, but also had excelling talent on restrictions. Among all the array restrictions, the Black Forest deserved to be considered the most difficult restriction here. Even if a grade 4 ordinary array master came, it would be difficult to crack within 3 days. Only those who had excelling talent in restrictions could have the possibility of uncovering its weak point. And all the favored children of heaven that met the Black Forest who participated in that session of the Continental Tournament for Hegemony had no one who could break this restriction and were all eliminated in the end. Of course, if they just lost here, many of the people who performed well in the first 2 competitions would also be brought back by the various sects to be outer pupils, but not participating in the finals was definitely a stain in their life. Didn't Mo Ling and the others say that they can break this restriction in around 10 days? An elder of the Spirit Tamers sect held a glimmer of hope. Their sect had taken a fancy to several people in this competition, so if they were eliminated here, then those people would have no fate in being core pupils. The strong and steady elder of the 8 extremes sect sneered, the weak point in the restriction they found is simply a deliberate illusion from that person. Even if they break it 10 days later, it will only break the first layer. The others could only sigh when they heard his words. The elder of the 8 extremes sect usually appeared unreliable, but he was a veritable grade 4 high-level array master. Could this session's participants also be lost here? The elder of the medicine sect's expression changed. The elder of the 8 extremes sect folded his arms and smiled. This old man is rather optimistic about Lu Mu Yen. All the elders present, including those from the 8 extremes sect, were speechless at his outrageous remarks. Lu Mu Yan's array skills were indeed excelling, and she could even set up a grade 3 array at such a young age, but the Black Forest was a restriction arranged by a grade 4 array master that had long become famous on Tianling continent. How could it be broken? Your expectations for her are rather high. A grade 3 array master can break the restriction placed by a grade 4 array master. What a joke. The elder of the vast mountain sect shook his head. Among the participating sword masters this year, although he was also very optimistic about Lu Mu Yen, but he wouldn't be so blind. Although the Black Forest is a restriction that was set up by that person when at grade 4 array master, but it's actually only a grade 3 restriction. If others can't break it, it's because they don't have that talent. It doesn't mean Lu Mu Yen can't break it. The elder of the 8 extremes sect obviously continued to hold his own opinion. He had seen Lu Mu Yen set up arrays through the crystal wall. Her techniques were not only skillful but also superb, just like a great master who had studied arrays for decades. Maybe she really could create a miracle. The elder of the vast mountain sect said with a smile that wasn't from his heart, then well, wait and see. The other elders were obviously on the side of the vast mountain sect elder. They didn't think Lu Mu Yen could break the restriction that wiped out the entire group of participating sword masters 100 years ago. It would obviously be great if Lu Mu Yen could break this restriction. After all, among the hundreds of people, many good seedlings had entered their eyes. If they couldn't arrive at the top of the mountain, they couldn't make an exception and directly bring them into the sect to become an outer core pupil. Lu Mu Yen didn't know that the elders of the 6 major sects were watching her. At this moment, she took out an array compass with a very solemn expression to participate in breaking the restriction. The vague interest in her eyes made many people present twitch the corners of their lips. They were all here with their miserable worries, wondering whether they'd be able to arrive at the peak of the mountain within 10 days, yet she was here so excited as if she had encountered some sort of prey. Chapter 299. Activate the restriction. The array compass in Lu Mu Yan's hand was made by herself, and only the size of a palm. She stared at the array compass intently, and from time to time she would walk around to test the restriction with her spiritual energy. Mo Ling walked to her side, and when his eyes fell on her array compass, he couldn't take it back. Lu Mu Yen, can you show me your array compass? Lu Mu Yen was currently in deep contemplation, and when she heard his words, she handed it to him without hesitation. Not long after, Xiao Junyao and the others also arrived here and inquired about the situation of the Black Forest from the others. When he walked to the junction of the black soil and brown soil, his expression instantly changed, and his face also sank instantly. The teammates around had never seen his face change like this. They all had a bad premonition in their hearts. Junyao, is there something wrong here? One of them asked with slight worry. The people around him pricked up their ears when they heard this question. Xiao Junyao, being a predetermined pupil of the Heavenly Secret Palace, was in fact known by a small number of people here, so his words were also credible. Xiao Junyao sighed, our luck in this session's competition sure is so bad. The Black Forest is the strongest restriction on this mountain. What? The strongest restriction? Is it difficult to break? Someone couldn't help but ask. It's not that it's difficult to break, it's very difficult. 100 years ago, there was a session where the sword masters also encountered this Black Forest restriction halfway, and in the end, they weren't able to break the restriction and arrive at the mountain peak within the allocated time. Xiao Junyao's expression was dark, that session, all participants were eliminated, and no one came out of the finals. What? All participants were eliminated. The expressions of many people present changed when they heard his words. Yes. No one made it into the top 100 at that time. Xiao Junyao's handsome expression couldn't resist but be stained with a layer of worry. If they were trapped outside the restriction and was unable to reach the top of the mountain, then even if he entered the heavenly secret palace, he wouldn't be able to become a core pupil of the outer sect, and could only start as an ordinary outer pupil. How could this happen? Then what should we do? Many people were completely dumbfounded. It was impossible for Xiao Junyao to use this kind of thing to deceive them. He was even a predetermined pupil of the heavenly secret palace. Even if he couldn't become a core pupil, but he would at least not need to worry about not being able to enter the palace's gate. But they were different. If they didn't advance into the top 100, it would probably be difficult for them to enter the sect. Brother Xiao, how many people entered the 6 major sects at the end of that session? Someone asked urgently. Xiao Junyao pondered for a while, then said, no more than 30 people. His words made the expressions of the people present change. Some of the predetermined pupils were a little calmer, but they were still very disappointed. After entering the sect, there was still a big difference between ordinary pupils and core pupils. The waves of discussions continued, and negative emotions spread. Why don't we try to attack it? Someone suddenly suggested. Others also agreed, might as well treat a dead horse as if it's alive. Xiao Junyao thought about it and nodded in approval. Let's discuss it a little more. He looked up and saw Mo Ling currently talking to Lu Mu Yen not far away. They appeared as if they were deaf to their reactions, so he thought a bit and walked over. Mo Ling, do you have any countermeasures? Xiao Junyao knew that Mo Ling was born in a distinguished clan that specialized in arrays, and was also a grade 3 array master himself, as well as a predetermined pupil of the heavenly secret palace. Mo Ling's expression was indifferent, and his cold and solitary temperament added a bit of mystery to his handsome appearance. We found a weak point in the restriction before, but it will take at least 10 days or so to break. Come and read on our website Wuxia World site. Thanks. With a solemn expression, he continued, the most important thing is that we're not sure whether it's a real weak spot or a trap deliberately set by the person who placed the restriction. Since Xiao Junyao knew about the situation of the Black Forest, then he naturally understood that the restriction was difficult to break. He was a little disappointed when he heard Mo Ling's words. Even if Mo Ling and the others found the weak point of the restriction, but they couldn't wait 10 days. Leaving the restriction area didn't mean that they could reach the top of the mountain safely. There were still many roadblocks ahead and it would take time. The array compass in your hand is rather extraordinary. Xiao Junyao was silent for a while, and when he looked up, he saw the dark golden array compass in Mo Ling's hand. He had a very light psychic bloodline and could feel the existence of the spiritual items around him. The array compass in Mo Ling's hand was actually made of heavenly frost golden crystal, which sure was extravagant. When Mo Ling borrowed it from Lu Mu Yen, he naturally recognized the refining materials for this array compass and he smiled bitterly. This array compass belongs to Lu Mu Yen, I just borrowed it for a look. The heavenly frost golden crystal was one of the best materials for refining array compasses, and the sensitivity of the array compass was many times stronger than that made from ordinary materials. He was fascinated by arrays, and also wanted to find heavenly frost golden crystal to refine an array compass, but such spiritual items could be found but not be desired. He just didn't have as much luck as Lu Mu Yen. Xiao Junyao was surprised, so it's young Miss Lao's array compass. Then he immediately curbed his emotions and smiled, I almost forgot that young Miss Lu is also a grade 3 array master. What Lu Mu Yen arranged during the Great War was a grade 3 fire array, which was already very rare, and it could even be said that there were almost no people of her age who could achieve such attainments in arrays. Since she actually owned an array compass refined from heavenly frost golden crystal, then the background hidden behind her was probably not so simple either. This kind of spiritual item wasn't something any ordinary person could obtain. Of course, he didn't rule out the fact that she was just lucky, and with her excelling talent, her future achievements in arrays definitely wouldn't be too low. No wonder that all the predetermined pupils of the 6 major sects received orders to secretly win over Lu Muyen. With her talent and temperament, if they focused on raising her, then she would definitely be extraordinary in the future. Lu Muyen smiled and said nothing. Xiao Junyao's prestige among the sword masters in this competition space was very high, and he had a very good ability to gather people together. He wasn't as simple as what his elegance makes him out to be at all. Since we can't break this restriction for the time being, why don't we try to attack it? Xiao Junyao looked at the two and asked. He was a layman in front of arrays and restrictions. Among the people here, Mo Ling and Lu Muyen understood arrays the most. We can try. Mo Ling pressed his lips together, and after thinking about it, he looked up at Lu Muyen and asked, "What do you think?" It's good to try several methods. Lu Muyen smiled lightly. She had complete confidence in breaking this restriction, but she wouldn't say it aloud right now. She'd just let these people toss about first. She didn't request for these people to have a grateful heart for her when she broke it, but she just hoped that they wouldn't cause trouble for her. Then let's try first. Xiao Junyao then organized a group of people to attack the positions Mo Ling and the other array masters designated using various means in an attempt to forcibly break the restriction. Lu Muyen didn't join their restriction-breaking army and still continued to take the array compass to research and explore. This sort of restriction wasn't difficult for her, an almighty from the spirit world, but she found that the person who arranged the restriction used several very subtle and intricate methods, so she held the array compass, wanting to study it more. 3 days later, someone touched a point in the restriction during the attacks, and all one saw was a light suddenly emerge from the ground of the Black Forest. When many people were pleasantly surprised, thinking that they had performed a blind cat catching a dead mouse moment and broke the restriction, suddenly, a black, transparent light cover shrouded the entire forest, and the air also had a slightly strange smell. This is bad, quickly retreat. Mo Ling's expression changed greatly, and he shouted urgently. A few people in front who accidentally touched the black light cover instantly screamed. After falling to the ground, their entire body trembled and they were foaming at the mouth. What's going on? Xiao Junyao's expression was extremely ugly. Mo Ling's eyes were cloudy and uncertain. Someone accidentally touched a mechanism in the restriction and activated it completely. Now, if we want to break it, it'll be even more difficult than rising to heaven. Chapter 300, I can break it. The several people in front were quickly carried back by the people of the same team. Those present didn't dare to approach the black, transparent cover anymore. Xiao Junyao asked 2 physicians to quickly come forward to treat them, but after taking a few pills, it was ineffective. The poison they're inflicted with is too strange, even we can't solve it. Ah! The ear-piercing screams of the several of people continued to resound, and the scalps of the surrounding people all felt numb. Lu Muyen swept the poisoned sword masters with her gaze and discovered that one of them, when others were ridiculing her, had said a few good words for her. The others hadn't spoken to slander her at all, and they were obviously from the same team. She furrowed her brows, walked to the few people, took out a bottle of pills and tossed it to them. Eat it. Those people felt unbearable pain as if they were being burned in flames, and they couldn't think of any reason why Lu Muyen would harm them either, so they took the pill and quickly swallowed it. After a while, the several people gradually regained their calm, and the burning sensation on their bodies was replaced with a coolness. They also knew then that Lu Muyen's pill had detoxified them. Thank you greatly, young Miss Lu, for saving us. We will remember this favor. The several people expressed their gratitude to Lu Muyen. If it weren't for her antidote pill, they would have probably already met King Yama by now. No need, it wasn't difficult. Lu Muyen smiled nonchalantly. It wasn't a big deal if she saved people who were pleasing to her eye. If it were those that quietly cursed her the fiercest before, she definitely would be too lazy to care. Meanwhile, her calm, breeze-like behavior also made the people around her stunned. The poison that 2 physicians couldn't even resolve was resolved by a single pill from her. This shocked them, and also made them want to form a good relationship with her. Maybe they'd even be able to buy some pills for emergency use. How did you guys get poisoned? Were there any unique feelings? Xiao Junyao asked. We were attacking the place that was designated in the restriction, which was closest to the black cover, then we were poisoned by the black light when we didn't retreat in time. One of them said. Another person continued, after being poisoned, my whole body felt as if it was being roasted in a furnace, and the burning was so bad, that it made me feel as if living was worse than death. The several people still had lingering fears when they mentioned this, and the pain was something that would be unforgettable for the rest of their lives. Xiao Junyao's expression darkened, and he asked Mo Ling, what should we do now? There's no solutions. Before the restriction was triggered and activated, maybe there was still a chance of breaking the array within 10 days, but now that it's completely activated, it may not even be broken within a month. Mo Ling's cold and proud expression revealed a decadence that had never appeared before. He really tried his best for this restriction, but he just couldn't see through the profoundness of it. Hearing even Mo Ling, this array genius, say such words, the sword masters present were all dejected. Could it be that they were really so unlucky that they were going to have to pack up and go home this time? The expressions of Yan Jun and the others also weren't that good. They had spies from the 6 major sects come to try to win them over, but if they couldn't even reach the mountain peak, unable to enter the top 100, then even if they entered the sect, they would have no fate for the core pupil of the outer sect, and the treatment would be as different as heaven and earth. Lu Mu Yen, have you found any flaws? Seeing Lu Mu Yen continue to play around with the array compass near the light cover after detoxifying the several people, a glimmer of hope inexplicably rose in Yan Jun's heart. Si Nan and the others also approached to ask. Lu Mu Yan's attainments in arrays were even higher than Mo Ling's. Although there wasn't much hope, but it was better than total despair. Lu Mu Yan glanced at Yan Jun and nodded, I indeed found one. This restriction had been thoroughly researched by her. In fact, it was actually easier to break the restriction after it was fully activated. At least, that weak point was exposed more clearly. What? You're not joking, are you? A young man beside Xiao Junyao couldn't help but doubt. Here, Mo Ling just announced that they couldn't break the array, and they may all be eliminated, yet over here, Lu Mu Yen said that she had found a flaw. What sort of joke was this? Come and read on our website Wuxia World site. Thanks. Lu Mu Yen glanced at the man lightly, and her face darkened. Do I have to joke about this? Apologies, I was impatient just now and had no other intentions. The man immediately apologized to Lu Mu Yen when he saw Xiao Junyao cast a reproachful look at him. If Lu Mu Yen didn't break the restriction because of his words, regardless of whether it was true or not, the people here would definitely blame him. Lu Mu Yen, you found the weak point of this restriction. Mo Ling's eyes revealed a rare brilliance. Lu Mu Yen pointed to a position under the black light cover and said, there can break the restriction. Mo Ling and the several other array masters quickly took out their array compasses, walked to the position that Lu Mu Yen said, squatted down to investigate, and after about an hour, they stood up. This is indeed the weak point of the restriction. Mo Ling's solemn expression didn't show relief, however. Seeing that many people revealed excitement in their eyes, he couldn't help but pour a basin of cold water on them, but this weak point needs an array within an array to break, and it's very difficult to break. At least, there's nothing I can do. Although the other array masters were only grade 2, but they still had some knowledge, and they were even more powerless. We're also powerless. An array within an array wasn't something that any ordinary person could set up. It not only required the array master to have an innate keen sense for arrays, but also needed one to be proficient in calculations. The hope that had been ignited was once again extinguished by the several people pouring cold water on them. Wasn't this even more uncomfortable for them than direct hopelessness? Since young Miss Lu found this weak point, then do you have any countermeasures to break the restriction? Xiao Junyao had a kind and elegant smile on his handsome face. Xiao Junyao's words also awakened the others, who all turned their attention to her. I can break this restriction. Lu Mu Yen nodded with a smile. The self-confidence and proudness were revealed subconsciously, which bedazzled people. Although they still didn't dare to believe that Lu Mu Yan could break this restriction that even geniuses such as Mo Ling couldn't break, but there was still a glimmer of hope that rose in everyone's hearts. Remembering that Lu Mu Yan was able to withstand 3 moves from a peak phase tier 8 demonic beast earlier, the grim looks on many people eased a lot. With her hidden methods, maybe it was possible to break it. Yi Qinghan and the others absolutely believed in Lu Mu Yan's ability, and there was expectation in their eyes. Then we will trouble young Miss Lu today. If there is anything you need help with, feel free to speak up. Xiao Junyao spoke very politely. Lu Mu Yan nodded, sure. She didn't want to delay any longer either. Although she knew the method of breaking it 2 days ago, but she didn't say it immediately. 1. It was to wait for these people to toss about for 2 days, and 2. She didn't want to expose her talents and methods so quickly. She walked to the weak point and took out a few round and shiny white jades, then buried them in the ground outside the black light cover. Then she took out a black array flag and planted it above. Her hands formed seals and one after another, array seals were punched into the array flag consecutively. After a while, the array flag emitted a layer of soft light and several beams of light struck straight into the ground. Then, everyone watched her sit cross-legged. Her hands continuously formed seals, and strips of jade-colored runes emerged from her body, entering the array flag. 2 hours later, Lu Mu Yan finished forming seals, and there was an additional array that was formed from strip after strip of rune seals possessing runes within. She recited a few phrases, pointed with 2 fingers, and a beam of light fell straight down. The array suddenly seemed to have come alive and transformed into 100 jade dragons the thickness of a finger. A portion of the jade dragons entered the ground, and the rest all flew into the air. They roared a few times, then all leapt onto the black cover and began to bite at it ferociously. Merry 300th chapter. Yay! The arc is also coming to an end soon. After this arc our otherworldly, handsome MX will appear more together with our lovely violent celestial LMY. Chapter 301, You're just all unpleasant to my eyes. Everyone was stunned when they saw the 100 jade-colored rune dragons come roaring out of the array, then gnawing and swallowing the black light cover bite by bite. The jade dragons with the thickness of a finger gradually grew and became longer and larger after swallowing the energy of the black light cover. Although they ate very fast, but it still took a while. Lu Mu Yan expended a lot of spiritual energy to arrange this array. She poured out a spiritual energy recovery pill to take. Young Miss Lu, is this a grade 3 pill that recovers elemental energy? Xiao Junyao pondered, and asked with a gentle smile. Lu Mu Yan stood up and patted her sleeves. It's a grade 3 spiritual recovery pill, what's wrong? Spiritual recovery pill? Confusion flashed past Xiao Junyao's eyes. He had never heard of this kind of pill, but he knew that it was extraordinary by just smelling the fragrance. I wonder if young Miss Lu has any extra pills. Can you sell it to this one? You want spiritual recovery pills? Lu Mu Yan looked at him with a half-smile. Not just spiritual recovery pills. This one would also like to buy a few of the pills that Miss used to detoxify them earlier. Xiao Junyao wasn't evasive either. Lu Mu Yan pondered for a bit, then said with a smile, a sword master at Sword Sovereign Cultivation Base can recover at least above half their elemental energy using one spiritual recovery pill. There is no time limit either, and it also won't affect the battle. I can sell you 30,000 spiritual stones for one. The antidote pill can cure 100 poisons. Of course, poisons like those ancient mysterious poisons can't be cured. After a pause, she added, 10,000 spiritual stones for one. These 2 kinds of pills are excellent in saving one's life. I'm also selling it to you at such a cheap price because you're very pleasing to the eye. She folded her arms, with an expression as if saying you've got a bargain. Of course, you can decide not to want it if you think it's too expensive. Everyone couldn't resist twitching the corners of their lips when they saw her smug little expression. However, the price for pills with such effects was indeed really fair. If one went to an auction outside of the competition space, then a single spiritual recovery pill would probably cost at least 40,000 spiritual stones. After all, there was no time limit, and pills that could restore more elemental energy during battles were not necessarily available even with money. The pill tower only sold 2 batches each year. Not only was the price very high, but it could only be bought through connections, so it had long been monopolized by distinguished clans. Most importantly, according to what Lu Mu Yen said, the effect of the spiritual recovery pill to restore elemental energy was even better than that of the pill tower's grade 3 pills. This was indeed a life-saving pill. After all, imagine 2 sword masters of the same cultivation base in a battle against each other. If one side took a spiritual recovery pill when their life was at stake, then it would definitely break the tie and be able to kill the other side. It could be seen just how valuable recovery-type pills were. Many people were also moved by this and wanted to buy it. Alright. Then I will thank young Miss Lu for your great generosity. Xiao Junyao looked at her with amusement, took out a bag of spiritual stones from his interspatial ring and handed it to her. Lu Mu Yen took out 2 porcelain bottles and tossed them over. Xiao Junyao was a person she could befriend a bit. Judging from his style of doing things, although he was a little slippery, but he wasn't bad. When she was challenged by the Tier 8 demon cultivator that day, Xiao Junyao stood up to defend her too. Regardless of what attitude he had then, at least he wasn't hypocritical. Seeing that the transaction between the two was successful, many people also came over to buy. Lu Mu Yen looked at a few people who had secretly slandered her very harshly before and now wanted to buy some pills. She said coldly, "I only sell it to those that look handsome, forget about you all." Her words almost made the several spit blood. What did she mean she only sold to those who were handsome? Did one even look at appearance to sell things? The several people touched their faces. Although it was true that they didn't look as handsome as Xiao Junyao, but they still weren't that bad. "Young Miss Lu, you meant to say that our appearances don't enter your eyes?" One of them asked unhappily. "Come and read on our website Wuxia World site." Thanks. Lu Mu Yen nodded. "You sure are all quite self-aware." That man was so shocked by her that he didn't know what to say. "If you don't want to sell, just say it. Why make such excuses like this? You favoring one over another sure belittles people. You're just all unpleasant to my eyes, so I won't sell to you." "What, you have any complaints?" Lu Mu Yen sneered and raised an eyebrow. These people sure liked to turn their noses up at her one. She gave them face yet they didn't want it. As if she was bothered to pretend with them. "Aren't you too arrogant?" The other person's face revealed slight annoyance. They were large kingdom sword masters affiliated with Nanxuan. All their interests and benefits were centered on the crown prince of Nanxuan. Earlier, when they said those things behind Lu Mu Yan's back, it was also because they wanted to cater to the crown prince of Nanxuan, yet who would have thought that it completely offended her? But even if they were a vassal kingdom, they were also heirs to distinguished clans of a large kingdom. Because of their good relationship with the crown prince of Nanxuan, they had long developed an arrogant and domineering temperament in their own kingdom. So upon hearing Lu Mu Yen say such, they were immediately angered. "I'm just being arrogant, what are you going to do about it?" Lu Mu Yen glanced at them. "Do you want to fight? I'll accompany you all to the end, you can all come at once." Then she stretched out her hand and rubbed it, looking as if she was prepared to fight. The several people chalked. They saw her use the fire array and her violent hand-to-hand combat. She even had a few mighty Tier 7 spirit pets, plus she could take on 3 attacks from a peak phase Tier 8 demonic beast. Although they were a little hedonistic, but they weren't fools. If they fought with her, they would definitely be beaten black and blue. They had seen what the second prince looked like after he was ganged up on last time. Seeing the several people cower back, Lu Mu Yen wasn't even in the mood to beat them up anymore. Such timid and cowardly sword masters really weren't worth for her to use her means to toy with them. "Lu Mu Yen, don't bully people too much. You have so many Tier 7 spirit pets, how can we be your opponent?" Someone shanked their neck and shouted. Lu Mu Yen raised an eyebrow and sneered, so what if I'm bullying you all? If any of you have the ability, then also let out a few tier 7 or tier 8 spirit pets to bite me. You really take ignorance as your hobby. The several people were speechless at what she said. If they had a few tier 7 or tier 8 spirit pets, then even without her telling them, they would have long released them to bite her. Where's the need to be afraid of her? Shut up. The Crown Prince of Nanchuan furrowed his brows and scolded the several people. These fools, they couldn't even beat Lu Mu Yen, what were they doing provoking her? Ultimately, wasn't it losing his face? Besides, they still had to rely on her to break the restriction. If they infuriated her and she didn't care about it anymore, then who would they go cry to? The several people didn't dare to argue with Lu Mu Yen anymore after the Crown Prince of Nanchuan swept his cold gaze over them. Most importantly, whether it was combat power or a verbal war, they were both the losers, so they retreated unwillingly. None of the people here were fools and they saw it clearly. Lu Mu Yen, this person, not only distinguished between kindness and enmity clearly, but also really held grudges. Thinking of how violently she killed tier 6 and tier 7 demonic beasts one by one in the melee with just directly using her fists, they couldn't help but feel a chill run down their spines. They all secretly murmured inwardly that it would be best to not provoke this little grandaunt in the future. 2 hours later, the black light cover had been swallowed completely by the Jade Dragon, and the 100 Rune Dragons combined into a giant dragon. After devouring all the energy that enveloped the black forest, the giant dragon roared, then swiftly entered into the black soil in the center of the forest. About another 2 hours later, everyone just saw the color of the land within the black forest gradually fade until it finally returned into a normal yellowish brown, but the color was still darker than the brown earth outside. The surrounding trees withered one after another, then finally turned into powder that scattered with the wind, disappearing from this world. One to act arrogantly to her. Chapter 302, Win over the originally dense black forest around them instantly turned into powder and dispersed, and the depressing feeling also disappeared. No one noticed a dark rune dragon with the thickness of a finger slip into Lu Mu Yen from the sole of her feet. The toxin-stained rune dragon headed straight into Lu Mu Yan's dantian and loitered. With a thought, a cluster of purple gold flames seemed to open its mouth to swallow the rune dragon, then dived back into the green sea in her dantian to begin refining. Mo Ling and several other array masters quickly walked to the edge of the black forest and took out their array compasses to check continuously. The restriction is broken. Mo Ling's solemn, proud face revealed a rare trace of excitement. Xiao Junyao stepped forward and swept over it with his mental energy, and a joyous expression rose on his elegant face. It really broke. The others also revealed excitement and joy on their faces when they heard their words. Young Miss Lu, it's really thanks to you this time, otherwise us participants this year really would be wiped out. Xiao Junyao looked at Lu Mu Yen and said gratefully. Others also expressed their gratitude to her. This time, even the Crown Prince of Nanchuan and the others didn't oppose her again. Whether it was the pills that Lu Mu Yen possessed, or her talent in arrays, they all shocked and amazed the people here. If she could advance into the top 100, then the 6 major sects would definitely contend for her. Lu Mu Yen responded with a faint smile, neither taking credit nor being modest. Alright, since the restriction has been broken, everyone, hurry up to the mountain peak. It's already been 4 days. Xiao Junyao said to everyone with a smile. There were only 6 days left, and everyone was anxious to get to the top of the mountain as soon as possible to advance into the top 100. After expressing their gratitude to Lu Mu Yen, they passed the black forest and disappeared here. There were not many people left, but there were still people remaining who she wasn't familiar with. Young Miss Lu, can I chat with you alone? Xiao Junyao approached Lu Mu Yen and asked in a slightly lowered voice. Lu Mu Yen gave him a surprised look and nodded, sure. The two walked under a big tree not far away. Xiao Junyao arranged an elemental energy shield around them that isolated sound and mental energy from probing in. Sir Xiao is so cautious, could it be that you've discovered some treasure and wanted to tell me to find it together? Lu Mu Yen raised an eyebrow and teased with a smile. Xiao Junyao chuckled. He discovered that this woman named Lu Mu Yen not only seemed to be covered in a veil that gave a sense of mystery, but was also very interesting. No wonder Luo Li and the others chased after her so tightly. Young Miss Lu teases. This one has been requested to tell you something important. Seeing his serious expression, Lu Mu Yen curbed her expression. Tell me. It shouldn't be a trivial matter for you to be so cautious. It indeed isn't a trivial matter. I wonder if young Miss Lu knows about the 6 major sects. Xiao Junyao asked with a smile. What I know is only just the surface of things. Just say what you want to express directly. Hearing Xiao Junyao ask this, she guessed his intention. Young Miss Lu is this smart, I believe you have already guessed it. On behalf of the Heavenly Secret Palace, I invite you. As long as you can advance into the top 100 in the finals, you can directly enter the Heavenly Secret Palace and become the core pupil of the outer sect. Xiao Junyao didn't go around in circles either and explained his purpose directly. Sword masters who wanted to enter the 6 major sects as an outer core pupil through the continental tournament for hegemony must usually advance into the top 20 in the finals of this competition. Of course, if a sword master with certain specialties or special abilities was ranked within the top 100, even if they didn't enter the top 20, they could still be recruited into the sect to become an outer core pupil. What does the Heavenly Secret Palace see in me? My talent in arrays? Lu Mu Yen asked with a smile. Come and read on our website Wuxia World site. Thanks, young Miss Lu is excellent whether in your own cultivation talent or your talent in arrays. The Heavenly Secret Palace is eager for talents and would naturally not want to miss out on a genius like you. What Xiao Junyao said was all truth. He had a very thin bloodline with the psychic constitution, that's why he could stand out, but in terms of talent, in all honesty, he was not as good as Lu Mu Yen. As far as I know, among the 6 major sects, the one that's famous for arrays on this continent is the 8 Extremes sect, and the Heavenly Secret Palace focused mainly on cultivation and nourishing one's nature. Lu Mu Yen looked at him with a half-smile. Xiao Junyao smiled and shook his head. Young Miss Lu is unaware, but there are special departments in each of the 6 major sects to learn these specialized occupations. The Heavenly Secret Palace is among the top in the path of the sword, taming beasts, alchemy, and in arrays within the 6 major sects. Each specialized department has geniuses from the younger generation on this continent, and it is no worse than other specialized sects. Xiao Junyao concealed the pride in his eyes. The reason the Heavenly Secret Palace could become the strongest among the 6 major sects, aside from their crushing strength, was also because during each grand sects competition, these specialized occupations also often win the championship. Lu Mu Yen knew he was telling the truth. The fact that the Heavenly Secret Palace could stand on the continent for thousands of years and not collapse, and was also at the head of the 6 major sects, meant that their background and foundation was definitely deep. There would also be an endless stream of genius sword masters heading over upon hearing their fame. In addition, there are many connections between the Heavenly Secret Palace and Superpowers Kingdoms in secret, so it was natural that they could recruit and train many geniuses who specialized in various occupations. It was said that the strongest array master and alchemist both came from the Heavenly Secret Palace. What if I can't enter the top 100? Then wouldn't your thoughts be wasted? Lu Mu Yen joked. She had an indescribable feeling about the Heavenly Secret Palace. Either way, she wasn't that interested. With young Miss Lau's strength and the means of a grade 3 array master, let alone entering top 100, there's even hope of entering the top 10. Xiao Junyao paused, then said with a smile, the Heavenly Secret Palace has given me news that as long as Lu Mu Yen doesn't drop below 200, then you can enter the Heavenly Secret Palace. But if she fell below 100, no matter how talented she was, she could only start as an ordinary outer pupil. But this was also an opportunity. After all, the 6 major sects wouldn't accept sword masters below 100. Although he hadn't interacted with Lu Mu Yen for long, but with the only 2 times he did, he still couldn't see through this woman. He didn't believe that she wouldn't even be able to enter the top 100. I need to think about it. Lu Mu Yen pondered for a bit and said with a smile. She didn't immediately agree or refuse. After all, the Heavenly Secret Palace, as the number one sect, still had its merits, and she ultimately hadn't decided which sect to choose yet. That's natural. If young Miss Lu can advance into the top 10 and join the Heavenly Secret Palace, there will also be other rewards from the sect. You can make your final decision after the finals. Xiao Junyao had a sincere smile on his gentle face. This one Xiao is very much looking forward to becoming brother and sister of the same sect. I'll remember what Sir Xiao said, and I will consider it carefully. The two chatted casually a little more, then separated from each other. Xiao Junyao led his people towards the mountain peak quickly. And not long after he left, several waves of people came to Lu Mu Yen to discuss in detail independently. The general content was basically the same. The 6 major sects all had predetermined pupils who received news from the sect and came to win over Lu Mu Yen, hoping that she would join their own sects. Lu Mu Yen didn't refuse either, and the answers she gave were the same, that she would need to think about it for a while. After the secret conversations with those people were over, as soon as she walked to her group, she received aggrieved gazes from Si Nan and the others. Chapter 303. This monarch's appearance is still pleasant to your eyes, right? Seeing Si Nan's watery peach blossom-shaped eyes looking at her filled with grievances, Lu Mu Yen rolled her eyes. You're not mentally ill, are you? The expression Si Nan was originally about to make froze, and after restraining himself and returning to normal, he approached her and asked, Lu Mu Yen, I'm better looking than Xiao Junyao, right? You each have your own strengths, why are you asking me this? Lu Mu Yen raised an eyebrow. Both Si Nan and Xiao Junyao had handsome looks, but their temperaments were very different, and neither could be compared to the other. Then you sold him pills but didn't sell some to me. Si Nan looked at her aggrievedly and accused. Lu Mu Yen was filled with goosebumps. Talk properly. Si Nan coughed lightly, shook his golden foil folding fan and rolled his peach blossom-shaped eyes. You're a woman who has no humor. Luo Li and the others couldn't resist laughing. Si Nan's move may have been once useful against many women, but it was completely useless in front of Lu Mu Yen. They were happy to see him become a joke. With your appearance, you need to use it towards a man who is interested in the same sex, and they'll probably show pity and tender care for Jade. But I'm not a man, and I'm not interested in your type. Lu Mu Yen rolled her eyes at him. Si Nan's skin was just too thick, and he had no boundaries just to obtain pills. The corner of Si Nan's lips twitched, and his face darkened instantly when he remembered being flirted with by men before. Lu Mu Yen, sell some of the pills you sold to Xiao Junyao to us too. Yen Jun glanced at Si Nan. This shameless, snarky, poison-hearted person could also experience such a slump. They had been thinking about those pills for a long time, but they just couldn't ask for it. Seeing her sell them to Xiao Junyao earlier, they also saw this as an opportunity. Of course, her saying that Xiao Junyao was handsome made them brood. How was that smiling tiger one more handsome than them? That's all fine, we're considered friends. I won't accept spiritual stones from you guys this time. I'll gift everyone too. She had seen how these people defended her earlier, and she had always been generous to those who she could regard as friends. The several people were stunned when they heard her words. Lu Mu Yen would be this generous? The sun didn't rise from the west, did it? It was only after an extra 2 white porcelain bottles appeared in each of their hands did they come back to their senses. Lu Mu Yen, are you sure you don't want spiritual stones? Ji Xian asked. This money-loving woman wasn't emotionally attacked by something today, was she? The others also blinked at her, surprised by her generosity. Lu Mu Yen glared at the few people speechlessly and said, I've always been generous, all right? Return it if you don't want it. The several people quickly put away the porcelain bottle. What a joke, this woman was rarely this generous, and even if they needed to pay spiritual stones, they'd still buy it, so how could they return it? Afterwards, the several groups of people advanced together and also encountered various obstacles in the middle, but they were all avoided one after the other. When they arrived halfway up the mountain, a cold voice suddenly sounded in Lu Mu Yan's sea of consciousness. She stopped in her steps and her gaze appeared slightly solemn. I have something to do, you all go to the top of the mountain first. Lu Mu Bai asked, Yenner, it's already halfway up the mountain, What do you have to do? Do you need us to accompany you? The others also expressed that they could accompany her. Although they didn't know what she wanted to go do, but she probably wouldn't delay advancing in the rankings for some personal affairs. Big brother, I really have something to do. After I finish, I'll rush to the top of the mountain, don't worry. Lu Mu Yen said with a small smile. Lu Mu Bai sighed. Little sister needed him less and less as she grew. Although he was a little disheartened, but he was also proud of her. Go. Come back early. Your goal is to be in the top 10. Lu Mu Bei's eyes were filled with doting and trust. Lu Mu Yen responded with a smile, said a few words to Lu Li and the others, then turned and set off in another direction. Where are we going? Mo Yen discovered that there was a mental energy transmitted towards Lu Mu Yen earlier, and he felt that it was familiar. Come and read on our website Wuxia World site. Thanks, Lu Mu Yen replied while rushing. The Thunder Monarch we met at Sunset Cloud Mountain Range asked me to go see him. When Xue Xue heard that it was the Thunder Monarch, his body shuddered. Why was that abnormal monster here? Be careful in a bit. Mo Yen wasn't sure about the Thunder Monarch's purpose, but he wasn't afraid. Although his current cultivation base had only reached peak phase tier 7, but he could still use some secret skills and means. It was still possible to take Lu Mu Yen to escape the pursuit of a tier 9 demon cultivator. I just feel that his purpose isn't that simple. Lu Mu Yen couldn't help furrowing her brows when she recalled the questions Thunder Monarch asked her that day. All the way there was the Thunder Monarch's mental energy to lead the way, and it went very smoothly without encountering a single demonic beast blocking their path. Lu Mu Yen discovered that they were still far away from the destination, so after having Bing Ji return to his original form, she flew towards a place closer to the top of the mountain. After more than half a day, Lu Mu Yen jumped off Bing Ji's back and she was slightly amazed by the sight in front of her. Ahead, the area was enveloped in dark clouds. It was a sea of darkness with thunder and lightning, and flashes of lightning struck down while the bottom was like a void. A majestic palace stood in the thunder domain where thunder and lightning intertwined. This is actually a thunder domain. Bing Ji smacked his lips with some fear in his eyes. He had ice attribute demonic energy, and thunder and lightning had restraining effects on his skills. Lu Mu Yen looked at the thunder domain with a layer of interest in her eyes. She could comprehend all the elemental energy attributes in this world, including the thunder attribute. When the thunder crocodile attacked her with the 3 moves, the thunder attribute element in her body was inexplicably awakened. Now, seeing the thunder and lightning flashing in the thunder domain, she actually felt a sense of intimacy. Come in. A cold and emotionless voice sounded in midair with pressure. As soon as his voice fell, a path spontaneously formed in the thunder domain to isolate the surrounding thunder and lightning. Lu Mu Yen stepped in without hesitation, and the thunder element around her actually entered into her body like specks of stars. The Thunder Monarch, who saw this scene in the palace, was stunned. Could it be that this woman was born with a thunder constitution? But with his comprehension on the thunder attribute, it was impossible for him to be unable to detect what her physique was. If it wasn't the innate thunder constitution, then she at least should be a sword master who could comprehend the thunder attribute. The Thunder Monarch's eyes narrowed. It would naturally be excellent if Lu Mu Yen could comprehend the thunder attribute elemental energy. Lu Mu Yen walked very slowly. After the surrounding thunder attributes entered her meridians, it was as if it cleansed her meridians, and she felt a tingling sensation that was very comfortable. When she was about to reach the end, the thunder attribute element in her body was nearly full and could no longer penetrate into her body. She walked out of the path, raised her feet, and walked quickly into the large hall. 2 tall and heavy palace gates opened automatically, and she stepped right in. As soon as she entered the door, it felt as if her body swayed, then she was teleported into a great hall. There was only one figure in the great hall, sitting on a throne. He wore a loose cyan brocade robe, half leaning on the armrest of the throne, his posture lazy and his whole body exuded a cold and murderous aura. The only difference from the last meeting was that his face was no longer hazy. Lu Mu Yen could clearly see his handsome face with sharp edges and corners, but with a hint of femininity. The ends of his eyes were lightly raised, his dark eyes deep and cold, and his facial features were intricate, although somewhat delicate and soft, but it wasn't entirely feminine. The combination of coldness and laziness gave one a romantic and unrestrained feeling. How is it? This monarch's appearance is still pleasant to your eyes, right? 1. Two-faced person. Usually used to describe outwardly kind but inwardly cruel people. Chapter 304. Give me a reason, how is it? This monarch's appearance is still pleasant to your eyes, right? Lu Mu Yen didn't expect that the Thunder Monarch, who appeared so cold and noble, would ask such a question, and said with a smile, "It's all right." The Thunder Monarch looked askance at her, snapped his fingers, and a seat fell beside Lu Mu Yen. "Sit." Lu Mu Yen wasn't polite either. After sitting down, she asked straightforwardly, "I wonder what business you have with me, Thunder Monarch? I don't have much time to delay here." She still had to rush to the top of the mountain to compete for the top 3. If she was delayed and couldn't make it to the finals because of this, who would she go looking to pay for the debt? Lu Mu Yan's attitude was very cold and indifferent, while the Thunder Monarch's gaze was deep. One couldn't tell his emotions. This was the first time he had been treated too rudely. Sure was interesting. "Are you not curious as to why I am in this space?" A wine glass appeared in the Thunder Monarch's hand, and he took a sip as he asked lazily. He replaced this monarch with I, which could be regarded as a negotiation on an equal footing. Lu Mu Yen raised her eyes. "I'm curious, but I have some guesses." "Let's hear your guesses." The Thunder Monarch shook his wine glass and said lightly. "Presumably, the you in the competition space is your original body, right?" Lu Mu Yen observed that the Thunder Monarch's expression didn't change, but his pupils constricted, and she continued, "What I saw in the Sunset Cloud mountain range was just your double." "Ha!" The Thunder Monarch pursed his light pink lips as laughter overflowed, but he didn't sound that happy. "You are indeed not an ordinary sword master." "You're wrong. I am just an ordinary sword master." Lu Mu Yen leaned on one hand on the armrest, her tone light. The Thunder Monarch stood up and walked from the throne with a wine glass in his hand, tall and graceful. He walked to Lu Mu Yen and squatted down. His deep eyes were as if they were going to suck her in, and after a while, he spit out a sentence, "Let's sign a contract of equals." Lu Mu Yan's expression was indifferent and there was no joy at all in contracting a Tier 9 demonic beast. "Give me a reason. Isn't it worth your risk to be able to contract a mutant royal race demonic beast like me?" The Thunder Monarch brought his face closer to Lu Mu Yen, his breath against her face, and his voice was hoarse and sexy with a hint of temptation. "Don't forget, I'm a Tier 9 demonic beast. A contract of equals, only you benefit. Keep away from me." Lu Mu Yen furrowed her brows and pushed the Thunder Monarch away as she said with arrogance and dominance, "So what about a Tier 9 demonic beast? I'd rather not have a demonic beast than have one with ulterior motives by my side." Seeing his eyes flash, she sneered, "Maybe others will be overjoyed by this kind of free pies falling from the sky one situation, but I don't want to contract you at all." What a joke. There must be some secret with the human almighties for the original body of this thunder beast to be bound in this competition space. Her mind would be broken if she felt that she was benefiting from this contract. Even if she really had benefits, but the result would definitely be endless trouble. The Thunder Monarch was startled, obviously not expecting that he would be disliked by this human sword master with low cultivation base. "What do you want?" The Thunder Monarch asked, taking a deep breath to suppress the blazing fire in his chest. Lu Mu Yen looked at him coldly. "Give me a reason why I should contract you first." "You are such a bold woman." The Thunder Monarch chuckled, stood up, and walked back to the throne. "1,000 years ago, when I was still a cub, I inadvertently passed through a space rift and flowed to this interface. It only took 100 years for you human almighties to discover this space and bring waves after waves of high-level sword masters here to sweep this place clean. Come and read on our website Wuxia World site. Thanks. At that time, I was just a Tier 6 demonic beast, powerless to fight. Originally, as long as one cultivated to be able to transform, one could break through the shackles of this space, yet who knew that those human powerhouses directly set up a great array to seal this place up. Later, every 20 years, they would send a group of young human sword masters into this space to participate in the continental tournament for hegemony, and the goal was mainly to maintain the balance in numbers of demonic beasts. When I advanced to Tier 9, I once had a great war with your human almighties for a few days. In the end, because of the restraint of this place, I failed to kill them successfully. Of course, they couldn't do anything to me either, so we came to an agreement. Since you have the ability to fight against those human almighties, then why don't you force your way out? Lu Mu Yen pondered for a moment, then, as if remembering something, suddenly looked up at him and said, "No. It's your original body that can't get out, right?" "Exactly. This monarch's original body is indeed bound by a mysterious force in this space. Unless I can break through to Tier 10, then I can't get out with my own strength." The Thunder Monarch's deep and dark eyes deepened. Lu Mu Yen raised an eyebrow, "Then you should cultivate to Tier 10. With your mutant talent, although it isn't easy to advance to Tier 10, but it shouldn't be that hard. As long as this monarch remains in this space for one day, it is impossible to cultivate to Tier 10. The Thunder Monarch's eyes were filled with coldness. "Why? Is it the restraining power of this space, or the array arranged by the human almighties?" Lu Mu Yen asked in surprise. "Both. Among those human almighties, there was one array master who used the energy of this space here to arrange arrays, making it so that all the demonic beasts in this place are unable to cultivate to Tier 10. The Thunder Monarch snorted coldly. If it weren't that the human sword masters discovered this space when he was only Tier 6, how could it be possible for those people to easily succeed? Lu Mu Yen chuckled, raised an eyebrow, and said, "You're bound here by the human powerhouses, so why do you think I would help you? The grievance from this demonic beast isn't small. If he left this space, then she really didn't know if he would become a scourge or not. What if I gift you a great fortuitous opportunity?" The Thunder Monarch drank the wine in his cup and a drop of red liquid slipped from his lips along his collarbone, extremely sexy. Lu Mu Yen rolled her eyes secretly. This Thunder Monarch was a little too seductive. Luckily she didn't like this type of man, otherwise she'd probably be enchanted by him. Meanwhile, Bing Ji who stood on her shoulder wasn't so calm, his small eyes narrowed, and he couldn't resist repeatedly shouting beauty. Inwardly. "You're bound in this space by the human almighties, and you obviously have a lot of resentment towards the humans. Although a large, fortuitous opportunity is good, but I don't want to become the sinner among humans and let you out to harm this land," Lu Mu Yen said straightforwardly. The Thunder Monarch looked at her in surprise and snickered, "I didn't expect you, such a petty woman, to also have such an awareness. Truly rare. Don't forget that I'm also a human sword master." Lu Mu Yen rolled her eyes at him. "I do have some resentment towards those human sword masters, but am not hostile to humans." The Thunder Monarch assured in a sincere tone, "As long as you take me out of this space, I promise not to mess around and kill human sword masters arbitrarily." His enemies had never been the human sword masters of this small interface. Lu Mu Yen didn't miss the monstrous hatred that flashed across his eyes very quickly, but that hatred really didn't seem to be directed at those human almighties. It seemed that this Thunder Monarch was also a demon cultivator with a story. "What you mean is that we will sign a contract of equals, and I'll use the Spirit Beast Ring to take you out of this space, then you'll be free." Lu Mu Yen tapped lightly on the armrest of the chair with her finger. The Thunder Monarch stared at the wine glass in his hand. "You're absolutely correct. One Chinese idiom meaning to obtain something beneficial / what you want / fortuitous, as if it just fell into your lap so easily." Lu Mu Yen lowered her eyes and pondered, and the Thunder Monarch didn't urge her either. The Thunder Monarch's cultivation base hadn't yet reached Tier 10 and he couldn't go out himself, but as long as he contracted her and became her spirit pet, then he would no longer be bound by this space. No wonder he kept asking her about the contract of equals back in the Sunset Cloud Mountain range and showed joy when he learnt that he could act freely. Her signing a contract of equals with her spirit pets was also a way to buy the hearts of the beasts. Forcefully bounding them together to make them surrender could indeed make them loyal, but it was still different to the loyalty from surrendering completely willingly. And she never liked to force things, even when it came to contracting spirit pets. Agree with him. Mo Yan's voice sounded in her sea of consciousness. Lu Mu Yan asked in surprise, why? Mo Yan rarely intervened in her affairs, so he must have his own reasons for making her agree so decisively. The Thunder Beast is one of the mutant royal demonic beast races in the upper interface. After Tier 10, there will also be a second mutation, and they're very strong. I felt the bloodline of a Thunder Beast royal race on him. His identity is definitely not simple, and he may even be able to help you in the future. He wandered to this interface with this space since he was a cub, which meant that he may have been born here. I just feel that there are some secrets hidden here. How did you judge that he was born here? The hatred in his eyes just now was very strong, but it wasn't aimed at the human almighties. I think it should be related to his background. Lu Mu Yan asked in confusion. Mo Yan replied, the spiritual force in this space is so rich. If you can stay here long term, you human almighty sword masters would probably have long organized people to come in to cultivate. You mean to say that there's a time limit for entering here? All outsider beings in this space can only stay for 1.5 years at most, then they would be forcibly sent out, so even if the Thunder Monarch wasn't born here, then he must be closely related to this place. Does this have anything to do with contracting him? Lu Mu Yan furrowed her brows. Contracting him meant big trouble, and those human almighties wouldn't allow him to leave here. Her current strength was simply not enough to fight against those human almighties. Because he has a big connection with this place, he will definitely be able to use a camouflage method to deceive those human almighties, then the original body will follow you out of here. Most importantly, he should be cultivating a very secret skill, which is extremely bloody and dark, but it can help him break through to Tier 10 and escape the shackles of this space and the human array. If that time comes, he will definitely take revenge when he goes out. If he cultivates the secret skill, plus his Tier 10 cultivation base, the so-called almighties of you humans wouldn't be his opponent at all, and the entire continent will be brewing with bloody rain and wind. That kind of secret skill requires the blood of human sword masters to condense into a blood pool for him to absorb the essence. By that time, your family might suffer too. He has only cultivated that to the first layer. After learning that you can help him, he chose to stop temporarily. This shows that although he has hatred in his heart, but his humanity still hasn't been destroyed, and is not a demon cultivator who likes to kill. But if you reject him, with his deeply buried hatred, he will completely go to the extreme. After cultivating the secret skill, it will be a big problem if he left this space. Lu Mu Yan's brows knitted even more deeply. If that was the case, then it was really tricky. There should still be a secret skill in your contract of equals, right? Cast one on him when you contract him. If he dares to kill innocents arbitrarily and affect this small interface, then you can also restrain him. Mo Yan pondered for a while, then continued to speak. This is a method of killing 2 hawks with 1 arrow, which is the most beneficial to you, and the big fortuitous opportunity might even be surprising. Lu Mu Yan's lowered gaze flashed with a sharp glint and the corners of her lips raised into an arc. Mo Yan, just what is your identity? The contract of equals skill stipulated that humans and demonic beasts contracted based on an equal relationship. However, ultimately, this skill was created by ancient human cultivators, so it was naturally more beneficial towards humans. After contracting, the spirit pets couldn't even have killing intent towards their owners at all, otherwise they would be punished by the laws of heaven and earth, but the humans wouldn't be affected by this. Although they couldn't directly kill their spirit pets, but there were several secret skills that could suppress disobedient spirit pets. Come and read on our website Wuxia World site. Thanks. Mo Yan's insights and knowledge were not what an ordinary royal race demonic beast should have. You'll naturally know my identity once you leave this small interface. Mo Yan replied lightly. Alright, I'll wait for the day you tell me. Lu Mu Yan believed that Mo Yan's identity was definitely no simpler than the Thunder Monarch. Mo Yan's eyes were dyed with a little smile. I will. After talking with Mo Yan, Lu Mu Yan looked up at the Thunder Monarch and asked, if I take you out of this space, then what if the human almighties find out? They won't let you and I go, would they? You don't need to worry about this. Us Thunder Beast race has a talent that can confuse one's aura. At the time, I'll place a clone here to ensure that they can't identify real from fake. The Thunder Monarch raised an eyebrow slightly, filled with confidence. Do they know about your clone in the Sunset Cloud Mountain Range? Lu Mu Yan asked after thinking for a bit. The Thunder Monarch shook his wine glass. They only know that there's a Tier 9 demon cultivator in the Sunset Cloud Mountain Range, but they don't know that it's my clone, otherwise they would have long joined forces and used various methods to kill me. Then that's good. Lu Mu Yan nodded. The Thunder Monarch must have his own secrets to be able to send a clone out to cultivate to Tier 9. She wouldn't touch upon it. The main body couldn't cultivate to Tier 10, so his clone would naturally be affected and be stuck at the bottleneck too. So if the Thunder Monarch wanted to break through Tier 10 and pursue higher cultivation strength, then he must leave here. You don't have to worry about the human almighties. Since I want to sign a contract of equals with you, then I will naturally be restricted by the laws of heaven and earth and will not be able to have any thoughts of harming you. I won't believe that your skill is completely equal either. The Thunder Monarch looked at her, half smiling, and added, even am willing to choose to believe you. Take a gamble. Don't you dare to gamble? What's there to not dare to gamble? Lu Mu Yan chuckled and raised an eyebrow as she said, then let's talk about the conditions of trade. With us contracting, I will gift you a large opportunity, but after leaving here, although the contract cannot be annulled, but you cannot restrict my freedom. The Thunder Monarch's lazy expression revealed some seriousness. Lu Mu Yan hooked the corners of her lips. After she left, all she wanted was for this big ball of trouble to hurry up and get lost, so she naturally wouldn't restrict his freedom. Besides the large opportunity, you have to promise to help me do 3 things. She smiled meaningfully, the stars in her eyes amazingly bright. On the Thunder Monarch's baseline, being able to squeeze something from him was something gained. She wouldn't just let him slap his butt and leave so easily. What 3 things? The Thunder Monarch's eyes revealed some vigilance. This woman was a little fox. With even slight carelessness, one might fall into her trap. I haven't figured it out yet, I'll save it to use later. Seeing that the Thunder Monarch's expression changed slightly, she continued with a smile, don't worry, what you'll have to do will definitely be within our ability. All right. I promise you. The Thunder Monarch smiled bitterly. Did he still have any choice? Aside from contracting Lu Mu Yan, he did have another choice, but he didn't want to practice that sort of sinister method. The Thunder attribute elemental energy in you has awakened, right? The Thunder Monarch looked at her deeply and asked. Lu Mu Yan didn't hide it either, yes. Then perfect. The big opportunity I'll give you is related to the Thunder attribute. Technically there's a formal English equivalent being kill 2 birds with 1 stone, but I just wanted to translate this literally, to show more of the Chinese culture. Anyways, it's pretty straightforward 2xd2 slap ones but and leave is a colloquial saying of complaint describing someone who just slips away, usually after causing trouble or inconvenience for others to clean up. Chapter 306, First to arrive at the mountain peak 3 days later, Lu Mu Yan came out of the palace. The surrounding thunder and lightning roared down while she walked across the thunder domain as lightly as walking through ground. As soon as she came out of the thunder domain, a circle of cyan light enveloped her, and she instantly disappeared. When she reappeared, she was already standing at the top of the mountain. She glanced around and found that no sword masters had arrived yet. She walked towards the quaint and ancient building made of black iron on the top of the mountain. As soon as she entered the gate, a sudden mechanical sound echoed throughout the mountain. Lu Mu Yan is the first to reach the top of the mountain. Lu Mu Yan is the first to reach the top of the mountain. Hearing the sound from the array, the participating sword masters who were rushing to the top of the mountain were stunned. In a swamp area, 7 people were sitting on a large boat magic tool, rowing forward. The surrounding demonic beasts kept leaping out and the people on the boat waved their magic tools one after another. The black swamp was dyed red with demonic beast blood in only a short while. As soon as they reached the opposite side of the swamp, the sound of the array notification echoes in the air. What? Lu Mu Yan's the first to reach the top of the mountain. How's that possible? One of the men exclaimed. Xiao Junyao stood at the bow of the boat with a refined aura. He appeared indifferent, then said after a while, we were still a step too late. She will be my biggest rival in competing for the top 3. It was as if he had long expected this. He was actually looking forward to meeting her. Young lord, aren't you looking too highly on her? A beautiful-looking woman behind Xiao Junyao said disapprovingly, her array talent is truly amazing, and she had endless tricks, but the final top 10 competition is a one-on-one battle. It's difficult for her to even rank in the top 9. She said this not because she was disgusted with nor slandering Lu Mu Yan. On the contrary, she actually admired that woman. Most of those who entered the top 10 in each session won using their strength. Those who were professionals in their vocations would be valued by the sect, but they would be more inferior in terms of their cultivation base. For example, Lu Mu Yan's talent in arrays was definitely among one of the top 5 in the younger generation, but her cultivation base couldn't be flattered. Among the top 100, she was probably the only sword monarch. Yeah. There will be various strict rules for each of the top 10 battles. In one session, the use of arrays wasn't allowed. If this time they also stipulated that the use of arrays as support is not allowed, her weakness would appear. The man who spoke first said. They also admired Lu Mu Yan, especially since she broke the restrictions so that they wouldn't be all wiped out, but they still didn't think highly of her combat power. Xiao Junyao shook his head with a smile, you're all wrong. Her ability to easily kill tier 6 and 7 demonic beasts in the melee has long highlighted her combat power. I have a hunch that she will amaze everyone this time. Since young lord thinks so highly of her, then let's wait and see the final result. The several other people still didn't quite believe that she could enter the top 5. In a forest densely packed with the corpses of demonic beasts in the surrounding area. A cold-looking, black-clothed man carried a huge longsword and looked up at the mountain peak not far away. Arrived this fast. He hooked his lips upwards, interesting. When they were about to reach the top of the mountain, Yan Jun and the others were struggling to fight the demonic beasts that kept crawling out of the lake. Fuck, we're working so hard here, but Lu Mu Yan's already reached the top of the mountain. Si Nan killed the last octopus beast and cursed foully. Ji Xian sighed and patted his shoulder, this is the gap between one and another. When Luoli heard that Lu Mu Yan had reached the top of the mountain, a sunny smile bloomed on his face from his heart. He just knew that she would definitely enter the top 10. Come and read on our website Wuxia World site. Thanks, Lu Mu Yan's so fast. There's still more than a day left before the end. Helian Lai wiped the blood from his body and sighed. Yi Qing Han's face overflowed with a dense smile. She was always just so dazzling and amazing. Lu Mu Bai and the others were also extremely happy. After these several groups of people that somehow met again finished killing the demonic beasts, they each rushed towards the top of the mountain quickly. They couldn't be too far behind Lu Mu Yan. The Crown Prince of Nanshuan and the others were still trapped on a cliff when they heard the sound from the array and were dumbfounded. Lu Mu Yan's actually the first one to arrive. Then she'll be ranked at least 10th. One of them said through gritted teeth. They were still working so hard to break through this restriction that they accidentally triggered over here, while Lu Mu Yan had already reached the top of the mountain over there. How could they, who had grudges against Lu Mu Yan, bear this? The Crown Prince of Nangsan's expression was extremely grim, and he kept bombarding the weak point of the restriction. After a while, he closed his eyes and said, don't fight with her in the future anymore. This woman is just too strange and inauspicious. As the Crown Prince, he wasn't as impulsive as he appeared to be. Although he was unconvinced by Lu Mu Yan, but he had to accept the fact that she was indeed very powerful. That woman was also very petty. Luckily they didn't have time to do anything substantively vicious towards her earlier, otherwise he would have another big enemy after leaving the competition space. He believed that as long as they didn't provoke her again, she wouldn't be their enemy. After all, that woman was very intelligent. Chu Han is the second to reach the top of the mountain. Xiao Junyao is the third to reach the top of the mountain. Luo Yi is the fourth to reach the top of the mountain. Yan Jun is the fifth to reach the top of the mountain. Si Nan is the sixth to reach the top of the mountain. Luo Li is the seventh to reach the top of the mountain. He Su Feng is the eighth to reach the top of the mountain. Ji Xian is the ninth to reach the top of the mountain. Yi Qing Han is the 10th to reach the top of the mountain. Within one day, the sound of the mechanical array continued, and 6 hours before the end of the specified time, the top 10 of the finals were born. The most unexpected person was Yi Qing Han. After all, Lu Mu Yan and Chu Han had become the most watched dark horses in the last 2 matches. Even if they received some criticism for advancing into the top 10, but it was still acceptable. However, Yi Qing Han entered the top 10 without a sound, which surprised not only the other sword masters in the competition space, but even the elders of the 6 major sects. Lu Mu Yan, who was sitting cross-legged at the first gate, opened her eyes with a small smile in her eyes. She didn't expect that most of the top 10 people were familiar to her. Others say I'm secretive and hide my abilities, but it seems that Qing Han is hiding too. Mo Yan didn't dislike Yi Qing Han, his constitution is a bit special, plus with the advancement of the Golden Eagle King, it's normal for him to advance into the top 10. A special constitution? Lu Mu Yan looked at Mo Yan in surprise. There were many differences between this continent and the former immortal cultivation world, and there was a very large difference in special constitutions. There were many spiritual constitutions that she had never even heard of. He has the psychic constitution, even stronger than Xiao Junyao's bloodline. Mo Yan said lightly. Psychic constitution. I only know of the innate spirit-body constitution. The innate spirit-body constitution could communicate with the natural forces, and the speed of absorbing the spiritual force of heaven and earth was more than twice that of an ordinary cultivator. Below the nascent soul stage, there would be no bottlenecks, and even after advancing to the higher levels, their spiritual energy would be denser than ordinary cultivators. As far as she knew, the innate spirit-body constitution did exist on this continent, but she didn't know what was special about the psychic constitution. Chapter 307, Competition for the Top 10 Rankings. Mo Yan knew that she wasn't clear about many things on this continent, so he explained patiently. There are several types of psychic constitutions. Xiao Junyao can keenly perceive the existence of spiritual herbs and spiritual items, and absorbs the spiritual force of heaven and earth twice as fast as the ordinary person. He also has a very strong comprehension for cultivating certain secret skills and talents, and there is no bottleneck for him until the Great Achievement realm. Isn't Xiao Junyao's ability very similar to yours then? Lu Mu Yan teased with a smile. Mo Yan looked at her calmly. His talent is pretty good among humans, but it's nothing compared to many demonic beasts, and not even as good as the fire cloud mink. Alright, our Mo Yan is the best. Lu Mu Yan praised with a flowery smile. Mo Yan looked askance at her lightly. His eyes were dyed with a hint of helplessness, and a doting that even he didn't notice himself. The psychic constitution has a special characteristic. Their mental energy is more than double that of the ordinary, and they absorb spiritual force of heaven and earth much faster. No matter what manuals they cultivate, they could achieve twice the result with half the effort. Then that's a bit similar to the innate spiritual body constitution. But you said that there are several types of psychic constitutions. Which one is Qing Han's? Yi Qing Han's psychic constitution is mainly manifested in his taming of beasts. With his mental energy, the number of contracted demonic beasts won't be limited like other spirit beast masters. Moreover, he has a natural affinity for demonic beasts. It will be much easier than ordinary spirit beast masters to form a contract. And as long as his psychic constitution has been cultivated to the later stage, after learning certain secret skills, he can control demonic beasts without contracting them. It's a very rare and heaven-defying constitution. So that's how it is. But he didn't seem to show this kind of talent before. Lu Mu Yan said while rubbing her chin. His psychic constitution was sealed by someone before. The last time we saw him, his seal had been partially undone, so he'll become stronger and stronger in combat too. Mo Yan didn't hide it either. Lu Mu Yan furrowed her brows. It was sealed. Can you break it? Why break it? The person who sealed it definitely didn't have malicious intent, on the contrary, it's a kind of protection for him. Mo Yan continued, a person with a special constitution shouldn't really rely too much on this constitution in the early stages. With his ability sealed, his cultivation base will also be more solid, which will be more conducive to future advancement. What's more, the seal in his body is being broken layer by layer, and they're triggered each time at a critical moment, allowing him to progress after reaching the limit. This way is the most conducive to his growth. Lu Mu Yan understood and poked Mo Yan's leg with a smile. You sure know a lot, Mo Yan. I naturally know more than you. Mo Yan stiffened, then turned his head away. By the way, does Ming Xiu have a special constitution? Out of everyone I know, he's the one I can't see through the most. The flamboyant, red-clothed figure suddenly appeared in Lu Mu Yan's mind, and she blurted the question out. When Mo Yan heard her suddenly mention Ming Xiu, his eyes that were as deep as the sea grew much deeper. There are definitely a lot of secrets on him, and there are as many as 3 kinds of seals in his body. As for constitution, I can't tell. Either he has a magic tool that can hide his true talent, or his cultivation method is special. Lu Mu Yan was surprised. There are 3 kinds. Good or bad? Good and bad, I'd say. But I can't see through the specifics. I discovered the 3 seals in his body when he was at Sword Monarch. After his cultivation base reached Sword Sovereign, I could no longer see through him clearly. Mo Yan pressed his lips together. That man always gave him a mysterious and powerful feeling. His constitution was very special, and he was especially sensitive to seals, so he could barely see through the seals in Ming Xiu's body when he was only at Sword Monarch, but he could only see that there were seals and didn't know what the specific seals were. Come and read on our website Wuxia World site. Thanks to be able to even make him, one who was once a king of a portion of the demon realm, feel mystery and danger, then it meant that this man wasn't an ordinary sword master at all. His background and identity were definitely not as simple as Monarch Ming of the Ming Chamber of Commerce Alliance. His identity isn't simple. If you really want to choose to be with him, you'll probably encounter a lot of trouble in the future. There was once where he sensed a very faint aura on Ming Xiu that felt like it was from the same interface he came from. But it was only for a short time that one time, so he couldn't be certain whether he also came from that place like him. Lu Mu Yan's hand unconsciously caressed the ice bangle on her wrist and gently rubbed it. After a while, she said leisurely, since I acknowledged him, then I'll accompany him up in heaven and down in hell and depend on each other in life and death. As long as he doesn't leave, then I, too, won't abandon. She would now think of Ming Xiu from time to time, and she also understood her own heart for him. Since Ming Xiu dared to provoke her first, then in this lifetime, that man must be hers. Mo Yan was stunned for a moment, and a slight bitter feeling spread in his heart, but it was quickly suppressed by him. Among all the men who admired and loved Lu Mu Yan, Ming Xiu was indeed the most powerful and excelling existence. In the central castle of the competition space, a white-clothed man stood by the window with his hands by his side. With only just that one silhouette of his back, there was a noble and elegant temperament. At this time, he was holding a bracelet formed from beads carved from soul-nourishing wood, constantly rubbing it. The red and sexy thin lips overflowed with a graceful and elegant arc, and he lowered his head and muttered to himself, "Woman, soon, we'll be able to meet more often." If Lu Mu Yan was here, she would definitely be surprised, because the bracelet held in the man's hand was precisely the one she asked manager Jiang, after the auction organized by the Ming Chamber of Commerce Alliance in the central city, to hand over to Old Yi to give to Ming Xiu. After the time limit of 10 days arrived, the voice of a high-level powerhouse resounded throughout the mountain top. The top 100 sword masters in the finals has been born. Please look at the rankings on your own identity jade tablets. The sword masters outside the 100 immediately crush your identity jade tablet and teleport out of the competition space. All sword masters within the top 100 will remain at the mountain top to await the result of the top 10. Everyone took out their identity jade tablets to check, and the people outside 100 sighed in disappointment, but they didn't dare delay, and quickly crushed their identity jade tablets. In an instant, countless groups of white lights wrapped around the people outside of the first 100 and teleported them out of this space. As you all know, the competition for the top 10 rankings is very important. It also determines your resource allocations and status after you arrive at a sect, so you 10 will show all your strength to fight today. Yes. The top 10 answered all together. Each session's competition for the top 10 will have different rules. The rules are not designated by us, the judges, at the time, but instead, the organizers have already set them 10 years ago. I will now announce the rules of this session. First, after the competition begins, the 10 of you will enter the stone gate behind you, and 2 of you will randomly walk to the same battle stage. There will be a referee on the battle stage and the winner of the 2 will enter the gate on the left after the battle to continue to fight for the top 5 while the losers will go to the gate on the right to fight for the rankings in the bottom 5. Second, when you are fighting, you are not allowed to take any pills, use arrays, summon spirit pets, and use talismans to attack. Third, in the battle for the top 10 rankings, you are not allowed to kill the opponent. If the opponent is killed, whether it is intentional or unintentional, you will be disqualified from the competition and will never be allowed to enter the 6 major sects. The above 3 points are the rules for the top 10 competition. Anyone who violates any of them will be immediately disqualified from the competition and teleported out of the competition space. Please remember not to do so. Alright, you may all start now. After the judge's voice fell, the 10 people stood up in unison, pushed open the stone gate behind them, and walked in. Chapter 308. Not optimistic about her hearing the judge announce the rules for the competition for the top 10, the other 90 people present were all stunned. If you can't use spirit pets, then what about spirit beast masters? Someone whispered. Yeah. Spirit beast masters relied mainly on spirit pets to fight. If they can't summon spirit pets, then what do they use to fight with people? Actually, Lu Mu Yen suffers the most from these rules. Yeah, she has a lot of pills that can replenish elemental energy, and their quality is rather high. If she can take pills, she may be able to tire the other party out. Most of her usual battles, she uses arrays to help. Now that it's stipulated that arrays can't be used, her strength has weakened by almost half. Most importantly, she had several kinds of ferocious Tier 7 spirit pets. If there weren't these rules, then she can crush her opponents just by releasing her spirit pets to fight. Except for not allowing the use of talismans, the other 3 are all disadvantageous for Lu Mu Yen. It'll be difficult for her to advance in the rankings. There was slight gloating in this voice. Even if she loses all the battles, she can still be ranked 10th. At least better than us. The man's tone was slightly bitter. The discussions below continued, most of which revolved around Lu Mu Yen. Because of the rules of this competition, more than 2/3 of the people present believed that Lu Mu Yen would lose completely. The 90 people were then taken to a wide hall in the building with a crystal wall in front, and the situation inside was fed back via the array. That was to say, although these 90 people couldn't participate in the last competition, but they could watch the battle through the crystal wall. In the central castle, the elders of the 6 major sects also gathered to watch the competition. Why are the rules so harsh this time? The Spirit Tamer's sect's elder furrowed his brows in dissatisfaction. The power of them, spirit beast masters, were all about their spirit pets, so how could they fight if they couldn't summon spirit pets? The expression of the elder of the 8 Extremes sect also didn't look very good, exactly. Why can't you use arrays? Isn't this deliberately making things difficult? You're not even allowed to use pills. The rules of the competition this time really are harsh. The elder of the medicine sect snorted coldly. Although the people from the other three sects also felt that the rules were a bit harsh this time, but it didn't involve themselves as much, so they didn't open their mouths to express their dissatisfaction. These rules just seemed to be aimed at Lu Mu Yan and basically blocked her path. Luckily she was the first to reach the top of the mountain, otherwise it'd be difficult to even enter the top 10. The vast mountain sect elder said. The elegant and wise-looking elder of the heavenly secret palace glanced at the complaining people. The organizers have already set the rules for the competition of the top 10 years ago, and there's no such thing as targeting anyone. It can only be said that Lu Mu Yan has bad luck. Furthermore, if you want to become a powerhouse of this land, or someone worthy for us to value in training, then you must not be too weak in your combat power. Otherwise, when the sect organizes them to go out for experience and training, or when they receive high-level tasks, they might die. Then it's simply a waste of resources we used to raise them. If none of these things could be used, they're still capable of fighting, and that's the genius elite worthy for us to raise. Then he added, of course, Lu Mu Yan's situation is special and needs to be treated differently. What do you mean by treated differently? The elder of the sword sect glanced at him suspiciously. Come and read on our website Wuxia World site. Thanks. The elder of the heavenly secret palace took a sip of tea, moistened his throat, and said, even if she can't win any of the battles at all, our heavenly secret palace still wants her. You old thing, you're dreaming. The elder of the 8 Extremes sect glared at him. This damned old thing really had a great imagination. With her excelling talent in arrays, she's not suitable for your heavenly secret palace. It's only right to come to our 8 Extremes sect. She can contract so many high-level spirit pets, which means her talent in taming beasts isn't weaker than arrays, so she's naturally more suited for our spirit tamers sect. The elder of the spirit tamers sect snorted. Those old things even want to snatch a spirit beast master from him. That's just too much. The elder of the medicine sect couldn't resist saying, her ability to control fire is very strong. It would be a waste to not be an alchemist. As long as she comes to our medicine sect and raised well, she will definitely become an alchemist above grade 3 in the future. Her physique and fists are very tough. It's rare to find a body cultivator. She has no future with you all. It's only reasonable for her to come to our vast mountain sect. The elder of the sword sect disapproved. It's obvious that she has higher talent in sword skills. At this age, she can even set up a sword array. She's most suited to be a sword cultivator. Immediately, the several elders started arguing, all revolving around where Lu Mu Yan should go. In the end, the elder of the 8 Extremes sect and the elder of the vast mountain sect almost fought with each other. But it could be heard from the tones of the several people that they didn't have hope in Lu Mu Yan advancing into the top few ranks. They were only glad that she reached the top of the mountain first, which meant that at worst, she could be ranked 10th in this continental tournament for hegemony. Meanwhile, Lu Mu Yan, who had already entered the arena, didn't even know that she was now a fragrant bun one, and the 6 major sects all wanted to take it for themselves. After walking along the path through the first door for a while, she walked to a battle stage and jumped up. After a while, a young man she didn't know walked in. When the man saw that his opponent was Lu Mu Yan, joy flashed in his eyes. He had the same understanding as the people outside. Lu Mu Yan, who was now without pills, arrays, and spirit pets, wouldn't be able to do anything. She would just be a stepping stone for his advancement. The man followed suit and jumped onto the stage. He cupped his hands at Lu Mu Yan politely and said, "This one is He Su Feng, please give some advice, young Miss Lu." "Young Master He, please." Lu Mu Yan responded with a faint smile. An elderly man sat cross-legged on a stone pillar on the battle platform. When he saw that the two were ready, he said, "No killing is allowed during the battle. Whoever gets knocked out of the battle platform or admits defeat, the opponent will win. Let's begin." As soon as the elderly man's voice fell, He Su Feng mobilized his longsword and poured his elemental energy in, then slashed towards Lu Mu Yan not far away. Lu Mu Yan appeared completely carefree, and when the sword aura was about to hit her body, she flashed and dodged easily. He Su Feng had long heard that Lu Muyan's footwork was like a ghost. Seeing it today, he realized that she was indeed extraordinary. He didn't dare to underestimate her and be careless either, so he directly used his killer move. Ice wolves formed from condensed ice attribute elemental energy attacked Lu Muyan one after another, and the temperature around them dropped rapidly. Four ice walls suddenly emerged from the ground and surrounded her. The ice wolves were as if alive, and even howled. With their sharp claws, they attacked menacingly. Lu Muyan's eyes were filled with interest. This person's ice attribute elemental energy had already reached the understanding realm, which was rare among the younger generation. No wonder he entered the top 10. However, although the opponent had a strong comprehension in his element, but his cultivation base was only at middle phase sword sovereign. In addition, he usually relied on his ice element condensation to battle. Lu Muyan didn't even bother to use her sword array against him. She snapped her fingers and clusters of crimson flame sprang out from her fingertips, instantly turning into mighty, majesty fire lions, roaring as they met the ice wolves that pounced over with their sharp claws. One that she was highly desired by people. Chapter 309, Win the First Battle. Lu Muyan's fire lions condensed from fire elemental energy were stronger than the ice wolves in both size and ferocity. The surrounding temperature that had dropped to zero began to warm up, and the heat overwhelmed the cold air, taking the advantage. The fire lions and the ice wolves began biting ferociously and fought as soon as they clashed. Because Lu Muyan's comprehension of the fire elemental energy had already reached great achievement realm, He Su Feng, who had only comprehended to the understanding realm, couldn't compare, so the result was evident. The ice wolves were bitten deeply at the neck by the fire lions and the ice slowly melted little by little, finally swallowed by the fire lions. The surrounding ice walls were also melted into steam by a large fireball Lu Muyan flicked out. He Su Feng was shocked, and his expression changed. Just as he was about to use his trump card for the finale, who knew that the woman in front of him disappeared on the platform in a flash. He used his mental energy to sweep everywhere but couldn't find her. After a few breaths of time, he suddenly felt the space around him fluctuate. He spun around and swung his sword but was slow one beat. A slender, white jade hand gently pushed. He Su Feng's side was struck by the palm, and the strength seemed very gentle, but in fact, it contained a powerful physical strength. He quickly mobilized his elemental energy to resist, but he still flew out of the battle platform like a kite with a broken string and there was no time to resist at all. The old man on the pillar glanced at Lu Muyan in surprise, then announced with a serious expression, Lu Muyan will advance to the next match. Please enter the left stone door to await the next opponent. He Su Feng lost the first match. Please enter the stone door on the right to wait for the next opponent. Immediately, a mechanical sound rang through the array and throughout the building. The first match is over. Lu Muyan wins. Hearing this voice, the people on the other four battle platforms, who were still fighting, were stunned for a moment, thinking in unison that Lu Muyan had defeated He Su Feng so quickly. How powerful. Although He Su Feng was not well known in the competition space, but he was a genius elite of a superpower kingdom. His use of the ice elemental energy attribute could rank in the top 3 among the younger generation. The speed of using his ice elemental energy condensation was also close to an instant. Knowing that he was in the top 10, none of the others would underestimate him, but no one thought that he would be defeated by Lu Muyan in such a short time. And the sword masters who watched the battle in front of the crystal wall were all stunned. After a while someone cursed, "Fuck, Lu Muyan can instantly generate fire elemental energy without using arrays. The comprehension of her fire elemental energy is stronger than He Su Feng's, what an abnormal monster." Tisk tsk, her comprehension of fire elemental energy has probably reached the great achievement realm. Someone couldn't help but sigh. Because Lu Muyan used to base her use of fire elemental energy on arrays, it gave others the illusion that the flames she had condensed before were all relying on arrays. They never thought that she had true capabilities. Her movement is also so fast. No wonder He Su Feng was struck off the stage before he could react. He Su Feng underestimated his opponent. That's true. If He Su Feng prepared better and played his trump cards more fully, it's still unknown whether Lu Mu Yan can win or not. He Su Feng lost a little wrongly. What a pity. If you lose, and there's nothing to pity. But after winning this battle, Lu Mu Yan's next opponent wouldn't underestimate her anymore. Currently, most people believe that Lu Mu Yan was hiding her talent in fire elemental energy comprehension, which made He Su Feng underestimate the opponent. She also used her ghostly movement technique to take advantage of his inattentiveness to sneak attack, and that was how she won the battle. Towards her next battle, although they didn't think she would win, but they were anticipating it more than before. After a while, the mechanical voice kept sounding. Chu Han wins. Luo Yi wins. Xiao Junyao wins. Yan Jun wins. The victory of the four was expected by everyone, except Chu Han. That sword master named Chu Han is so powerful. Si Nan used his trump card and still lost. Someone sighed while watching the battle scene on the crystal wall. Most importantly, Chu Han may have not even used his all. How do you know? Come and read on our website Wuxia World site. Thanks, don't you see that giant sword he's carrying on his back hasn't even been used? If that giant sword isn't his trump card, then he's got something wrong with him to carry a giant sword on his back wherever he went. It's more likely that it's his trump card. I wonder who he'll meet in the next battle. No matter who, Chu Han is a formidable opponent. After the battle, one was allowed to take pills to adjust. After about 2 hours, all 10 people returned to their peak state and began to continue to battle. The top 5 and the last 5 draw lots to determine your opponent. Those who didn't draw an opponent will obtain a bye 1 into the next round. The referee's voice sounded in the building. Those who didn't draw anyone will have a bye. Doesn't that mean whoever is in the top 5, with luck, will directly enter the top 3? Yeah. But luck is also a part of strength. Who dares to object to the organizer's rules? After the judge's voice fell, 4 small balls suddenly appeared in front of the 10 people. After choosing one, they crushed them to know their opponents. Lu Mu Yan didn't act immediately. When there was only a small ball left in front of her, she picked it up and crushed it. It was empty. The top 5 battles are Chu Han vs Luo Yi, Xiao Junyao vs Yan Jun. Lu Mu Yan has a bye. Last 5 battles, Si Nan vs He Su Feng, Luo Li vs Ji Xian, Yi Qing Han has a bye. At the beginning of the second round of the battle, most of the sword masters who watched the battle in the large room couldn't help but envy Lu Mu Yan's luck. Lu Mu Yan actually has a bye, then didn't it mean that at worst, she'll still be third? Fuck, her luck is so heaven-defying. Being beautiful is an advantage. Rubbish, didn't you see that Lu Mu Yan was the last one to draw lots? What does it have to do with looks? I'm just sighing. Being able to take the 3rd place in this continental tournament for hegemony means she'll be able to become famous throughout the continent. Maybe the little beauty can even take 1st place in the end. Someone joked. Stop dreaming, is 1st easy to obtain? Any of those 4 people can skip stage battle. Lu Mu Yan is only an advanced phase sword monarch. On her cultivation base, she's already being crushed, it's impossible to win. That's true, Lu Mu Yan's cultivation base is too low. If she reached Sword's sovereign cultivation base, then it wouldn't be certain who wins or loses. Lu Mu Yan's not even 17 years old. She's already a genius among geniuses to have a cultivation base of advanced phase sword monarch. Stop being so picky. The battle's begun, just watch quietly. Lu Mu Yan had a bye, but she couldn't leave, so she closed her eyes and waited for the next competition. After an hour, the mechanical voice sounded again. Chu Han wins. Xiao Junyao wins. Si Nan wins. Luo Li wins. After the announcement, the judge's voice sounded, the 2 winners and the one with a bye will continue to draw lots. The one that received a bye will wait for the next round. I wonder if Lu Mu Yan has any luck to get a bye this time. If she has another bye, the worst rank she'll obtain is 2nd. Many people were discussing this. During the draw, there were 3 more balls in front of her. Lu Mu Yan grabbed one and crushed it casually. Xiao Jun Yao's name was revealed. One did you know by meant the transfer of a competitor directly to the next round of a competition in the absence of an assigned opponent. Google definition. I did not, and I was so confused when the word by appeared so many times while translating this chapter XD. Anyways, that's what a by means, ha 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 ha.